From extramarital affairs to pure undiluted lust on set, some of the stars of Hollywood's golden age just couldn't help their attraction. But following your passions has its own consequences, and for these stars, a love child they were not expecting was the result of their trysts. The response to having love children differed between these talented stars. As a matter of fact, some kept it so much a secret that you'd be shocked when you find out the truth. Michael Lindsay Hogg. It is possible to hide an affair from the world, but the one thing that cannot be hidden is the striking resemblance between a child and his parents. Perhaps this was the reason why, no matter how much his mother denied it, Michael Lindsay Hogg believed that his father was not the man he grew up with. He had a gut feeling that his father was an actor he had seen a couple of times. If you have ever come across the mind-blowing artistic works of Michael Lindsay Hogg, you'll know that he is an embodiment of rare talent. Whether he is behind the scenes of films, theater, or music videos, he is the kind of director who stands out. But what if I told you that he probably got his creative abilities from his mother, Geraldine Fitzgerald, who was a talented old Hollywood actress? But that's not all. The man he suspected to be his father was none other than the legendary actor and director, Orson Welles. So, this leaves us with the question, why did Michael grow up believing that he was fathered by the famous actor? Well, let's go back to how it all started. In the 1930s, Michael's mother, Geraldine Fitzgerald, was a well-known actress. She was one of the actresses who captivated audiences at the time through her roles in films like Dark Victory and Poltergeist. Because she was famous, everyone knew she was married to Sir Edward Lindsay Hogg. However, it was later rumored that she got into a brief affair with Orson Welles, who was married to Virginia Nicholson at the time. It was said that they were so attracted to each other that they moved their families to the same neighborhood so that they would be able to see each other often. This steamy affair allegedly led to the birth of Michael Lindsay Hogg. Because the families lived close to each other, Michael grew up alongside his alleged half-sister, Christopher Wells Feeder. It will amaze you to know that Christopher once said that she always felt a sibling connection with Michael, but she could never explain why. When Michael began to suspect that Orson Welles was his biological father, he approached his mother, but she denied over and over again. Despite the fact that she denied the rumors, Michael saw through her and believed that she wasn't telling the truth. Although she took this secret to her grave, Michael was hell-bent on finding answers no matter how difficult it was. When he got older, he made up his mind to find the truth once and for all. He would later take a DNA test, and while some reports claimed that the test confirmed Olsen was his father, other reports claimed that it was inconclusive. But perhaps the words of his mother's trusted friend, Gloria Vanderbilt, gave him the closure he needed. Gloria confirmed to Michael that Olsen was indeed his biological father. One can only imagine the confusion and uncertainty young Michael nursed while growing up. It's good to know that he finally has some closure about the issue. Although his past was undoubtedly tumultuous and his parentage was undoubtedly complicated, Michael has grown to be a talented man. Michael Lindsay Hogg, he is not like any other director you have seen before. You name it, he's done it. Film, TV, music videos, you name it. Remember the Beatles' rooftop concert in Let It Be? Yep, he captured that magic. And those iconic Beatles promo videos for Hey Jude and Revolution, his genius at work. But it's not just the Beatles. He's rocked with the Rolling Stones and jammed with Elton John, directing some seriously cool music videos. On the small screen, he's dipped his toes into classics like Brideshead Revisited and brought a touch of class to The Equalizer. And let's not forget his work in film, from the intriguingly titled Nasty Habits to the suspenseful The Sound of Murder. He's like the ultimate directorial all-rounder, spinning his magic across the entertainment universe for decades. This love child has grown to be a man who has fought to make his dreams come true. Judy Lewis. In an industry where everyone seems to know everyone's secret, the paternity of young Judy Lewis became a source of whispers and gossip. There was no denying that she looked like the then-famous actor Clark Gable, but she grew up believing that she was an adopted child. It all started when Gable and Loretta's parts crossed amidst the dazzling lights and opulent sets. Initially, they were just colleagues, but as time went on, they began to fall for each other. Clark Gable, the dashing king of Hollywood, and Loretta Young, the enchanting leading lady, could no longer hide how they felt about each other. Their on-screen chemistry was palpable, but it was behind closed doors where their passion truly ignited. away from the watchful eyes of studio executives and gossip columnists. Amidst the breathtaking landscapes of film sets, their affair flourished, defying the moral codes and societal norms of the time. Loretta, with her starry eyes and porcelain beauty, found herself swept away by Gable's charm. Considering her reputation, no one would have thought that Loretta Young would find herself entangled with Clark Gable. Loretta Young was widely regarded as a woman of strong moral character throughout her career in Hollywood. She was known for her grace, poise, and dedication to her craft. Young was often praised for her professionalism and integrity, both on and off the screen. She maintained a wholesome image and was perceived as a role model for many, particularly during the more conservative era of Hollywood. One can say she was a morally upright individual. Clark Gable, on the other hand, didn't have a spotless reputation. His reputation is a bit more complex. While he was undoubtedly one of the most charismatic and talented actors of his time, Gable was also known for his somewhat tumultuous personal life. He had multiple marriages and was rumored to have engaged in extramarital affairs. Despite this, Gable maintained a strong work ethic and was respected for his dedication to his craft. However, his personal life often overshadowed his professional achievements, leading to a more mixed perception of his morality compared to Loretta Young. Although they probably intended to keep their affair a secret forever, something happened that brought their secret love to light. This was the birth of their live child, Judy Lewis. Judy's existence remained hidden from the scrutinizing gaze of an industry built on illusions and perfection. Loretta, determined to protect her child from judgment, went to great lengths to conceal the truth, confiding only in the inner circles of Hollywood's elite. But as time went on, people began to notice. They could hide their affair, but the one thing they couldn't hide was the resemblance between Judy and her father, Clark Gable. But in order to keep their secret hidden, Loretta Young told her child that she was adopted. It was when Judy was 15 years old that she met her father for the first time. He came over to Loretta Young's house, but there was no discussion about whether or not Gable was her father. Judy grew up believing that she was indeed adopted and tried to ignore the rumors about her paternity. Yet, as fate would have it, secrets have a way of surfacing. The revelation of Judy Lewis as the love child of Clark Gable and Loretta Young rocked the very foundation of Hollywood glamour. It was said that Judy found out that the famous actor was indeed her father, and not just her mother's friend on her wedding day. Judy, who was 31 years old at that time, confronted her mother and demanded nothing but the truth on her wedding day. Her mother, filled with emotions and regret, finally revealed the truth to her daughter. Judy, now a young woman, unveiled the long-guarded secret. As expected, the revelation sparked a media frenzy, casting a shadow on the shining reputation of one of Hollywood's most iconic leading men. She would later write an autobiography called Uncommon Knowledge, confirming that she was indeed Clark Gable's child. Roberto Rossellini. For several years, Ingrid Bergman made a name for herself as an iconic movie star. She started her career with German and Swedish films, and it wasn't long before Hollywood noticed her. But just when she transitioned into Hollywood and started making waves, she fell in love with a director and began a secret love affair. Ingrid Bergman was a phenomenal actress who was gracing screens for the most part of the late 1930s. Not only was she known for her mind-blowing performances, but filmmakers who worked with her testified that she was a highly talented actress who was willing to go above and beyond to bring her roles to life. Her career skyrocketed in the year 1936 when she played a lead role in the film Intermezzo. She would later appear in Intermezzo, a Love Story, which was her first acting role in the U.S. However, her life took an unexpected turn when she met a director called Roberto Rossellini in the mid-1940s. Following a letter she wrote him, he came to visit her in her home in the United States, and before she knew it, she began to have feelings for him. Interestingly, Ingrid was married to her first husband, Peter Lindstrom, at the time, and they had a daughter together. So, exploring the spark between her and the director would automatically be a taboo. What made it even worse was the fact that they were both married and had feelings for each other at a time when morals and family values were a big deal. It wasn't long before the pair decided to damn the consequences and fully explore the feelings they had for each other. Initially, they were able to hide their affair, but after a while, people began to notice. What made the whole thing even more shocking was that Ingrid had the reputation of a saint. She was one of the few actresses who didn't do cosmetic enhancements and was always praised for her naturalness. She only posed for decent pictures and made sure she didn't soil her reputation. When the news of her affair began circulating in the tabloids, people were beyond shocked. She was condemned by religious bodies, political bodies, and even people once called fans. She was no longer given roles because filmmakers were afraid that her presence in a film would lead to a ban. She was called an adulterous woman, and all kinds of mean things were said about her. But despite all the condemnation, Ingrid and Rossellini's affair only waxed stronger. The director would later divorce his wife for Ingrid, but Ingrid's attempts to leave her husband led to a messy legal battle. Her husband didn't let her go without putting up a fight. Soon enough, she got pregnant and gave birth to their first child in a hospital in Rome on the 2nd of February 1950. They were still unmarried at the time. Back in the day, it was like an abomination for a child to be born out of wedlock, so studios and movie stars did their best to hide love children, but Ingrid and Rossellini decided not to hide any longer. Sadly, this child, who was supposed to mark the beginning of a new chapter in their lives, actually led to an international uproar. It was said that U.S. Senator Edwin C. denounced the actress on the floor of the Senate and called her a disgrace to American womanhood. As if this was not enough, her home country also condemned her actions, highlighting that she disgraced her country. Just like that, this actress, who was once loved and admired, became hated all over the world. Despite all these, Ingrid loved her child, and shortly after, she got married to Roberto Rossellini. Their first son, who is now in his 70s, was said to have worked as an Italian real estate investor and a stockbroker when he was younger. Jack Nicholson. It is nearly impossible to be a fan of Hollywood movies and not come across at least one Jack Nicholson film. This is a cinematic legend whose contributions to film have left an indelible impact on audiences worldwide. There is no denying performances, memorable characters, and unparalleled talent have solidified his place in cinematic history. But what a lot of people may not know is that Jack Nicholson is also a love child. He grew up believing that his mother June was his sister, and that his grandmother Ethel May was his biological mother because of a difficult decision that his mother had to make when he was a baby. But how did this happen? What made Jack Nicholson believe that his mother was his sister? It all began in April 1937 when Jack Nicholson came into this world, but his beginnings were far from ordinary. His father, Donald Farsillo, was already married when he fell in love with a young girl and got her pregnant. Clearly, being involved with a girl who was way younger than him was forbidden, and making it public was only going to get him into trouble. But Donald Farsillo couldn't hide his feelings for this girl, and he wanted to step up and do the right thing, so he decided that he was going to marry her. He set the plan in motion and tied the knot with 17-year-old showgirl June "Dink" Nicholson. But it was only when she said, "I do," that she found out that this Italian-American showman, Donald Farsillo, was keeping a big secret. Immediately, their fresh union was entangled by controversy, taboos, secrets, and lies, because not only was June underage, but Donald already had a wife. Despite this, Don really wanted to take responsibility for his child, and he didn't want June to raise Jack alone. Although Donald's intentions seemed pure, June didn't buy the idea. As soon as she found out that he was already married, she started looking for other ways to ensure that her child was well taken care of. As a young girl who was trying to make ends meet, she knew for a fact that she wouldn't be able to cater to the needs of her child, so she decided to make a difficult decision, which was sending Jack to live with her own parents instead. Because he began living with his grandparents at an early age, Jack grew up believing that his grandparents, Ethel and John Nicholson, were his parents. No matter how tempting it was, his mother never told him the truth about his biological parents. She treated him like a brother, even on days when she was yearning to play the role of a mother. It wasn't until he was 37 years old in 1974 that he discovered the truth. Imagine finding out at that age that the people you thought were your parents were actually your grandparents. It must have been a shock, but the surprises in Jack's life didn't end there. He had quite a colorful romantic life himself. He was married to Sandra Knight in the 1960s, and they had a daughter named Jennifer. But Jack's relationships weren't always conventional. He had affairs, one of which resulted in a daughter named Honey Holman. Honey was born during his 17-year relationship with actress Allegra Huston. Imagine the complexities of growing up in such a situation. Jack also had another daughter named Lorraine from another affair during his relationship with Angelica. Her mother was Rebecca Broussard, who was actually an actress in one of Jack's films, The Two Jakes. Talk about drama both on and off the screen. And the surprises don't stop there. Actress Susan Anspach even claimed that Jack Nicholson might be the father of her son, Caleb Goddard. It seems like Jack's life was just as dramatic and intriguing as the movies he starred in. But despite his issues about his parentage, Jack Nicholson didn't allow himself to become a victim of his past. Over the years, he healed from whatever trauma the situation may have caused him and went on to create an amazing career. Today, Jack Nicholson is known as a renowned American actor, filmmaker, and producer who has left an indelible mark on the world of cinema. Nicholson's career spans several decades, and he is celebrated for his versatility, intensity, and iconic performances across a wide range of genres. He is perhaps best known for his captivating portrayals of complex and morally ambiguous characters. One of his most iconic roles came in the 1975 film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, where he played the rebellious and charismatic Randall McMurphy, a patient in a mental institution. This performance earned Nicholson his first Academy Award for Best Actor, solidifying his status as one of the greatest actors of his generation. But he didn't stop there. He kept on pouring into his craft and creating in a mind-blowing way. Another landmark role for Nicholson was in Stanley Kubrick's 1980 horror classic The Shining, where he delivered a chilling and unforgettable performance as Jack Torrance, a writer driven to madness while serving as the winter caretaker of the haunted Overlook Hotel. Throughout his illustrious career, Nicholson has showcased his remarkable range in films such as Chinatown, Terms of Endearment, Batman, As Good as It Gets, and About Schmidt, among many others. Isn't it amazing that Jack Nicholson became everything he ever dreamed of becoming and never allowed his past to dictate his future? From his unconventional parentage to his colorful romantic life, Jack's story is one that keeps people captivated. Who would have thought that behind that iconic smile lay such a fascinating tale? Allegra Huston. If you asked young Allegra Huston who her dad was, she would tell you that he was none other than the famous director John Huston. Why? Because for as long as she could remember, he was the man she called Dad. But as she grew older, she became uncertain and began to wonder if Huston was really her father. Born on the 26th of August, 1964, Allegra was the product of an affair her mother Enrica had with John Julius Norwich, the Viscount of Norwich. However, Allegra grew up believing that she was the daughter of the famous film director John Huston. Growing up, Allegra had no doubt that John Huston was her biological father. She was raised in a world where she thought she was part of his family, with siblings who shared the same name. But her life took a surprising turn when she discovered the truth about her parentage. It wasn't until later in life that Allegra learned about her true biological father and the circumstances surrounding her birth. Her mother, Enrica, was married to John Huston for several years, but in the early 1960s, they had a major marital problem, and they became estranged. It was during this period that Enrica began an affair with John Norwich. Their affair would later lead to her getting pregnant and giving birth to Allegra. Tragically, her mother, Enrica, passed away in a car accident in 1969, and Allegra was only 4 years old at the time. Despite the loss, John Huston stepped in and raised Allegra as his own daughter, showing immense love and devotion. A lot of people were shocked that he raised someone else's child like his old child. Imagine the emotions Allegra must have felt when she discovered the truth. How did she react? How did she come to terms with having two fathers and two sets of siblings? These are questions that likely ran through her mind as she navigated this complex family dynamic. Allegra eventually found solace in writing her autobiography, Love Child, a memoir of family lost and found. In this memoir, she didn't hold back as she delved into her unique upbringing, exploring the complexities of her identity as both American and English, and the challenges she faced growing up with this secret. But Allegra has not allowed her past to define her. She is now a successful writer, carving her own path in the world of literature. Despite the challenges she faced, she has embraced her past while building a fulfilling future of her own. Beneath the shimmering surface of Hollywood's golden age, a labyrinth of secrets and scandals lay hidden. Among the glittering stars and cinematic masterpieces, the private lives of Tinseltown's finest were often shrouded in mystery and intrigue. But sometimes the veil would slip, revealing tales so unexpected and controversial, they seemed ripped from the pages of a screenplay. Take, for instance, the luminous Ava Gardner, whose tumultuous love affair with Frank Sinatra captivated the public. Or the legendary Spencer Tracy, whose off-screen life was as complex and compelling as his on-screen performances. These were not isolated incidents, but part of a larger narrative, a tapestry woven with hidden liaisons, secret children, and forbidden love. In this video, we peel back the curtain on Hollywood's most closely guarded secrets, the children born out of the spotlight, away from the prying eyes of the press and the public. From the whispered rumors of clandestine pregnancies to the undeniable truths that emerged years later, these stories reveal a different side of the stars we thought we knew. We'll explore the lives of those who grew up in the shadows of fame, their existences marked by a legacy they had no part in choosing. These are not just tales of scandal and sensation, but of real people searching for identity and belonging in the aftermath of decisions made long before their time. The early days of Hollywood. In the nascent days of Hollywood, a burgeoning film industry began to cast its first shadows on the silver screen, giving rise to a new breed of American royalty, the movie star. This era, marked by the silent film age and the transition to talkies, was a time of innovation, glamour, and boundless possibilities. Yet, beneath its glittering surface, the personal lives of its stars were often mired in complexity and secrecy, particularly when it came to matters of the heart and family. One of the most emblematic figures of this era was Clara Bow, known as the It Girl, who embodied the carefree, vivacious spirit of the Roaring Twenties. Bow's on-screen persona captivated millions, but her off-screen life was fraught with challenges, not least of which were the rumors that swirled around her personal relationships and the children she was rumored to have had out of wedlock. While no concrete evidence exists to confirm these children, the speculation around Bow's private life underscores the intense scrutiny and moral policing faced by female stars of the time. The early Hollywood studio system, with its rigid control over actors' images and personal lives, played a significant role in shaping the narrative around its stars. Studios went to great lengths to craft public personas for their actors that aligned with the moral standards of the day, often at the expense of the stars' true selves. This led to a culture of secrecy and double lives, where stars like Bow were forced to navigate their personal affairs in the shadows, away from the prying eyes of the press and moral watchdogs. The case of Bow is not isolated. Other stars of the era, such as Louise Brooks and Alma Rubens, faced similar challenges. Brooks, known for her iconic role in Pandora's Box, and Rubens, a silent film actress whose career was marred by addiction, both had rumored affairs and children out of wedlock. These stories, often buried beneath layers of studio-manufactured publicity, reveal a pattern of hidden relationships and the lengths to which stars went to maintain their public image. The societal norms of the early 20th century, which stigmatized children born outside of marriage, added another layer of complexity to these situations. The children of these liaisons, if they existed, were often raised in secrecy or given up for adoption, their paternity shrouded in mystery. This practice was not limited to Hollywood, but was reflective of broader societal attitudes towards illegitimacy and the sanctity of the traditional family unit. The impact of these hidden relationships and their resulting offspring rippled through the lives of those involved. For the stars, it meant a constant balancing act between their public personas and private realities, often leading to personal turmoil and, in some cases, the end of careers. For the children, it meant growing up with a secret legacy, their identities shaped by the circumstances of their birth and the societal stigma attached to it. The studio system's secrets. In the golden age of Hollywood, the studio system wielded unparalleled influence over the careers and personal lives of its stars. This era, characterized by its tight control over the public images of actors, also bore witness to one of the most poignant and carefully concealed stories of illicit love and hidden lineage, the story of Loretta Young, Clark Gable, and their daughter, Judy Lewis. Loretta Young, an actress of ethereal beauty and profound talent, was a prominent figure in Hollywood's studio system. Her career spanned from silent films through the golden age of cinema, earning her critical acclaim and a devout following. Clark Gable, known as the King of Hollywood, was the epitome of masculine charm and one of the era's most bankable stars. Their paths crossed professionally on the set of The Call of the Wild in 1935, leading to an affair that would become one of Hollywood's most closely guarded secrets. The affair resulted in Young's pregnancy, a situation fraught with potential scandal that could have ended both actors' careers. In an era when the moral clauses in studio contracts dictated the personal lives of Hollywood stars, Young's pregnancy was a ticking time bomb. With meticulous planning and the complicity of a few trusted individuals, Young disappeared from the public eye, citing illness, while she was, in fact, pregnant. Judy Lewis was born on November 6, 1935, in Venice, California. To protect her and Gable's careers and maintain her public image, Young placed Judy in an orphanage, only to adopt her months later in a well-orchestrated move designed to avoid scandal. This act of subterfuge was a testament to the lengths stars had to go to preserve their standing in the unforgiving Hollywood landscape. Judy grew up unaware of her true parentage, although rumors and whispers followed her throughout her childhood and adolescence. The resemblance to Gable was undeniable, with her ears being a particularly telling feature, leading Young to have Judy undergo surgery to make them less prominent. Despite these measures, the truth about Judy's father remained an open secret in Hollywood, known by many but publicly acknowledged by none. The relationship between Young and her daughter was complex and fraught with unspoken truths. It wasn't until Judy was an adult that Young confirmed her father's identity, a revelation that reshaped Judy's understanding of her own identity and her place in the world. The impact of this secret on Lewis was profound, affecting her sense of self and her relationships with both her mother and the father she never knew. Love affairs in the spotlight. The story of Ingrid Bergman and Roberto Rossellini is a tale of passion, art, and scandal that shook the foundations of Hollywood's golden age and challenged the moral compass of the era. Bergman, a Swedish actress renowned for her luminous beauty and profound talent, had captivated American audiences with her performances in films such as Casablanca and Gaslight, for which she won her first Academy Award. Rossellini, an Italian film director, was a leading figure in the neorealism movement, known for his raw and authentic portrayal of post-war Italy. Their union was not just a merging of two cinematic worlds, but also a love affair that defied conventions and sparked international controversy. Their story began in the late 1940s when Bergman, then married to Dr. Petter Lindstrom, wrote a letter to Rossellini expressing her admiration for his work and her desire to make a film with him. This correspondence led to Bergman's starring role in Stromboli, 1950, directed by Rossellini. During the production of the film, their professional relationship blossomed into a romantic affair, a development that would have profound personal and professional repercussions. The affair became public knowledge when Bergman became pregnant with Rossellini's child. In an era when Hollywood's moral code was strictly enforced and the personal lives of its stars were subject to public scrutiny, the revelation of their relationship was scandalous. Bergman, who had been revered as a symbol of grace and virtue, was now vilified in the press, condemned by the public, and even denounced on the floor of the United States Senate for immoral conduct. The birth of their son, Renato Roberto Giusto Giuseppe Rossellini, in 1950, and later the twins Isabella and Ingrid Rossellini, only intensified the scandal. Bergman's marriage to Lindstrom ended in divorce, and she married Rossellini in 1950. However, the damage to her public image was significant. Bergman was forced to leave Hollywood and would not return to the American screen for several years. The relationship between Bergman and Rossellini and the birth of their children marked a significant moment in Hollywood history. It challenged the industry's and society's expectations of female stars, highlighting the double standards applied to women's personal and professional lives. Bergman's career, although temporarily derailed, eventually recovered. She went on to win 2 more Academy Awards, proving that talent could overcome scandal. The children of Bergman and Rossellini grew up in the shadow of this controversy, but carved out their own paths. Isabella Rossellini became a successful actress and model, while Ingrid Rossellini pursued a career in academia. Renato Rossellini, though less in the public eye, also made his mark away from the glare of the scandal that had surrounded his birth. The rock and roll era. The affair between Eddie Fisher and Elizabeth Taylor is one of Hollywood's most notorious scandals, emblematic of the changing social mores and the increasing scrutiny of celebrity personal lives in the post-war era. Fisher, a popular singer, and Taylor, a film star of unparalleled beauty and talent, found themselves at the center of a media storm that would have lasting repercussions on their careers and personal lives, particularly impacting Fisher's family with Debbie Reynolds. Eddie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds were America's sweethearts, their marriage seemingly a fairy tale union of two beloved entertainers. They had two children, Carrie and Todd Fisher, completing the picture of domestic bliss. However, the stability of their marriage was shattered by Fisher's affair with Elizabeth Taylor, who was then the widow of Fisher's best friend, Mike Todd. The affair not only ended Fisher's marriage to Reynolds, but also ignited a public scandal that dominated headlines and captivated the American public. The impact of the affair on Fisher's children with Reynolds was profound and multifaceted. Carrie Fisher, who would later achieve fame as an actress, writer, and Hollywood icon in her own right, spoke openly about the pain and confusion the scandal caused her as a child. The very public nature of her parents' divorce and her father's subsequent marriage to Taylor placed Carrie and her brother Todd in an unwelcome spotlight, subjecting them to public scrutiny and media speculation at a young age. The affair and its fallout marked a significant moment in the evolution of celebrity culture. It highlighted the growing power of the media to shape public perceptions of stars and underscored the vulnerability of celebrity marriages to public and press intrusion. Fisher's career suffered in the aftermath of the scandal, with his public image tarnished by his role in the breakup of his marriage to Reynolds. Taylor, on the other hand, continued to thrive professionally, her career seemingly impervious to the scandal, though she faced public censure for her role in the affair. The relationship between Fisher and Taylor was short-lived, ending in divorce in 1964. However, the legacy of their affair lingered, affecting the personal dynamics within their blended family for years to come. Carrie Fisher's relationship with her father was strained, a theme she would explore in her writing and interviews, offering insight into the complex nature of familial bonds in the aftermath of public scandal. The Golden Age's hidden stories. Spencer Tracy's career spanned over 3 decades, during which he became one of Hollywood's most respected actors. His on-screen chemistry with Katharine Hepburn, with whom he made 9 films, is legendary. Off-screen, Tracy's life was intensely private, marked by struggles with alcoholism and a complex relationship with Hepburn that was both a profound partnership and a source of endless speculation. Tracy was married to Louise Treadwell, and together they had 2 children, John and Susie. However, his relationship with Hepburn, which began after his marriage, was an open secret in Hollywood. Despite never divorcing Treadwell, Tracy and Hepburn maintained a relationship until his death in 1967. The nature of their relationship, conducted away from the public eye, has been the subject of much discussion, with many admirers and biographers noting the depth of their connection and the sacrifices both made to maintain it. Regarding the speculation surrounding Tracy's private life and the possibility of children born out of wedlock, it's crucial to approach this topic with caution. Unlike other Hollywood figures whose personal lives became public through revelations or acknowledgments, Tracy's story remains shrouded in the privacy he so fiercely protected. There are no confirmed accounts of children born outside his marriage to Treadwell, and much of what is speculated comes from a place of rumor rather than documented fact. The culture of Hollywood's golden age played a significant role in shaping the narratives around its stars. The studio system, with its emphasis on controlling the public images of its actors, often led to a dissonance between the public personas and private lives of its biggest names. Tracy, like many of his contemporaries, navigated this divide, maintaining a level of privacy that has left many aspects of his life open to interpretation and speculation. Scandals behind the silver screen. Ava Gardner and Frank Sinatra's relationship was the stuff of Hollywood legend, a union that combined beauty, talent, and tumult in equal measure. Gardner, known for her stunning looks and formidable acting prowess, and Sinatra, a singer of unparalleled talent whose career was experiencing a downturn when they first became involved, were both massive stars in their own right. Their relationship began in the late 1940s and quickly became one of the most talked-about romances of the era. The pressures facing stars of Hollywood's golden age were immense. The studio system exerted significant control over actors' careers and personal lives, often dictating not just the roles they played, but whom they were seen with and how they conducted their private affairs. For Gardner and Sinatra, this meant their relationship was subject to intense scrutiny, not just from studio heads, but from the public and the press. Rumors of a pregnancy emerged at a time when both Gardner and Sinatra were under considerable public attention. Gardner's marriage to Sinatra, her third and his second, was marked by passionate highs and devastating lows, with both parties' careers and personal demons often clashing. The rumored pregnancy has been a point of speculation for biographers and fans alike, seen as a potential turning point in their tumultuous relationship. However, without concrete evidence or confirmation from Gardner or Sinatra themselves, the story remains part of the larger narrative of their storied romance. The impact of such speculation on Gardner in particular highlights the double standards and gendered expectations placed on women in Hollywood. While male stars often faced less criticism for their romantic entanglements, women were scrutinized and judged more harshly. Gardner, already known for her independent spirit and resistance to the studio system's attempts to control her, would have been acutely aware of the potential fallout from any confirmation of a pregnancy outside of marriage, even within the context of her marriage to Sinatra. Their relationship and the rumored pregnancy must be understood within the context of the time. The early 1950s were a period of transition in Hollywood, with the studio system beginning to decline and the rise of tabloid journalism. The personal lives of stars became fodder for public consumption in a way that had not been seen before, with Gardner and Sinatra among the first to experience the full force of this new celebrity culture. Love, secrecy, and legacy. Leslie Howard's contribution to the golden age of cinema is undeniable. His performances, characterized by a blend of charisma and elegance, left an indelible mark on Hollywood and the international film community. However, Howard's life off-screen was as compelling as his on-screen personas, marked by his involvement in the political and social upheavals of his time, including rumored activities and espionage during World War II. His untimely death in 1943, when the plane he was traveling in was shot down by German forces, added a layer of intrigue and tragedy to his legacy. Ronald Howard, born in 1918, was Leslie Howard's only son with his wife, Ruth Evelyn Martin. Growing up as the son of one of the era's most celebrated actors, Ronald faced the immense challenge of forging his path in the shadow of a towering figure. The expectations set by Leslie Howard's success and the public's fascination with his life and mysterious death were formidable pressures for Ronald. Ronald Howard pursued an acting career, appearing in numerous films and television shows from the 1940s through the 1970s. Perhaps his most notable role was as Sherlock Holmes in the 1954 television series Sherlock Holmes, where he brought the iconic detective to life with a performance that echoed the charm and intelligence his father was known for. Despite this and other successes, Ronald's career did not reach the same heights as his father's, a fact that highlights the difficulties of living up to a legendary legacy. The challenges Ronald faced were not just professional, but personal. Growing up in the aftermath of his father's death, with the accompanying speculation and intrigue surrounding Leslie Howard's wartime activities, Ronald had to navigate a world that was forever changed by loss. The public's enduring interest in Leslie Howard meant that Ronald's achievements were often viewed through the lens of his father's legacy, a comparison that can overshadow individual accomplishments. The new Hollywood movement. Arnold Schwarzenegger's journey from Mr. Universe to Hollywood megastar and then to the governor of California is a tale of ambition, discipline, and unparalleled public success. However, in 2011, a personal revelation emerged that presented a starkly different narrative, one that highlighted the vulnerabilities even the most controlled public figures face. The disclosure of Schwarzenegger's paternity of Joseph Baena, born to the family's housekeeper, Mildred Patricia Patty Baena, was a moment of profound personal and public reckoning for Schwarzenegger. The revelation came at a time when Schwarzenegger's public image was that of a successful action hero, a dedicated public servant, and a family man. Married to Maria Shriver, a journalist and member of the Kennedy family, Schwarzenegger's personal life was as much a part of his public persona as his professional achievements. The news of his affair and the existence of a son born out of wedlock was a jarring departure from the narrative that had been carefully curated over decades. Joseph Baina's birth in 1997 and the subsequent revelation of his paternity more than a decade later brought to light the complex realities behind Schwarzenegger's public facade. The affair and the secrecy surrounding Joseph's paternity caused a significant media storm, leading to Schwarzenegger and Shriver's separation. This personal crisis unfolded in the public eye, offering a glimpse into the challenges faced by those living under the scrutiny of public attention. For Joseph Baina, the revelation of his paternity was a life-altering moment. Growing up, Baina's resemblance to Schwarzenegger was noticeable, yet the truth of his lineage was not publicly acknowledged until Schwarzenegger's term as governor was coming to an end. The public disclosure thrust Baina into the spotlight, a position that comes with its own set of challenges and opportunities. Despite the initial controversy, Schwarzenegger took responsibility for his actions and has since been an active part of Baina's life. Baina has navigated his path with a notable grace, pursuing his education and showing a keen interest in bodybuilding, echoing his father's own beginnings. His relationship with Schwarzenegger has grown stronger over the years, with the two often seen sharing moments of their lives on social media, from gym workouts to celebrating graduations. Giovanni Jackson, Daddy's Girl. While Joe Jackson, Michael Jackson's father, was busy disciplining his children and trying to make stars out of them, he had a little girl that no one knew about. His priority was to do everything in his power to spoil her rotten and keep her existence a secret. In the 60s, Joe Jackson became well known for his efforts to push his children in the direction of music. He desperately wanted his children to become famous and established musicians, and he was willing to do everything in his power to make this dream come to life. Seeing himself as their talent manager, Joe Jackson treated his children like they were his clients, forcing them to engage in long and intense rehearsals and forcing them to call him by his first name. While his efforts to make his kids successful in the industry were absolutely normal, as any parent would want their child to succeed, it was later revealed that he sometimes used harsh methods to get his kids in line. In a 1993 interview, Michael Jackson said his father subjected them to all kinds of physical punishments. He said he and his siblings grew up feeling lonely and distant from their father. It seemed like all he was concerned about was them becoming stars. While all this was happening, Michael Jackson, his mother, and siblings had no idea that Joe Jackson had another family somewhere else. In the early 70s, Joe Jackson met a beautiful secretary called Cheryl Terrell, and this single meeting led to a 25-year affair and a love child, Giovanni Jackson. Cheryl was in her 20s when she met Joe Jackson. At the time, she worked as a secretary for the police department in Los Angeles. On one fateful day, Joe Jackson was invited to LAPD's Christmas party, and that was where she met him. During the party, a friend of hers introduced her to Joe Jackson, but she had no idea who he was. She had never heard of him before. When they got talking, Joe Jackson showed her his charming and romantic side. He bought her gifts often, and soon enough, Joe's smooth talking and romantic gestures got to Cheryl. Her daughter would later reveal that Cheryl wasn't sure she liked Joe Jackson. She just decided to give the relationship a try. As expected, the 20-year age gap between them was very unsettling, especially for her family. Joe Jackson was the same age as Cheryl's mother, not to mention the fact that he was married at the time to Katherine Jackson. But despite all these, Joe Jackson was relentless. He did all that he could to keep Cheryl by his side. In a later interview, Giovanni revealed that her mother was not an obsessed fan like people thought she was. Joe Jackson was the one who did all the chasing. In Giovanni's words, "My mother is an attractive lady, and he saw her and had to have her. He did all the chasing. Daddy had to keep up with my mother. She was very independent, and he liked that." The affair between Joe Jackson and Cheryl led to her getting pregnant, and when this happened, he decided to stay by her side and take care of their child. However, he had to do this discreetly so that his wife and kids wouldn't find out that he had a second family. It was later revealed that he had an entirely different life away from the spotlight with his mistress and daughter in a house that was about 5 miles from his marital home in Encino, California. He would visit them often, take them on vacations, and lavish his daughter with gifts. All the while, he lied to his wife that he was traveling for business meetings. How he managed to keep this a secret for so long is still a mystery. His daughter explained that Joe Jackson always warned her not to tell anyone about her life. She rarely has friends, and he did everything he could to hide her and her mother from prying eyes. Her entire life was hush-hush. There were places she could not visit in her neighborhood, grocery stores they could never shop at, secrets she could never reveal. Joe Jackson lived with a permanent fear of being caught. He knew that if a reporter or a loved one saw him, his secret would be out in the open. As a result of this, she didn't exactly have a normal childhood, but Joe Jackson made sure he showered her with love. In her words, "He was very much a presence in my life. I was a daddy's girl. I would be so excited. He would bring me presents, my favorite black walnut ice cream. I was spoiled rotten." Decades later, the news about her existence got out. It was certainly a hard pill to swallow, but as time went by, the Jackson family accepted her. Joe Jackson's wife, who was painfully hurt about the affair, and the love child ended up forgiving her husband and taking him back. Giovanni wrote a book titled Bastard Child, detailing her true story and what being raised by Joe Jackson was like. Ronan Farrow, Frank Sinatra's look-alike. Have you ever come across a picture of Ronan Farrow, Mia Farrow's son? You know, the one with the piercing blue eyes that happens to have a striking resemblance to the very famous singer and actor Frank Sinatra? Over the years, the 36-year-old journalist has made a name for himself through his works, and he is even known as one of the journalists who passionately did the investigative reporting on allegations of sexual abuse against the movie mogul Harvey Weinstein. His reports would later be published in the New York Magazine. Now, while this young man is clearly passionate about what he does for a living, the suspicions about his alleged paternity have haunted him for the most part of his life. Although he grew up knowing without a shadow of doubt that Woody Allen was his father, the resemblance between him and the legendary singer Frank Sinatra cannot be ignored. The interesting part about this story is that his mother, Mia Farrow, was married to Frank Sinatra several years before she had Ronan. Some people believe that even after their divorce, she kept on having an affair with Frank Sinatra, which resulted in the birth of Ronan in 1987. Some statements she has made have also fueled the suspicions that people have about Ronan's alleged father. In 2013, while speaking to Vanity Fair, Mia Farrow said that she and Frank Sinatra never really split up. This revelation got people wondering whether she kept on having a long affair with Sinatra even after their divorce. The pair met initially on the 20th Century lot in the mid-1960s, and it was like love at first sight. However, Mia Farrow was only 19 years old at the time, and Frank Sinatra was already in his 50s. As expected, their 31-year age gap raised many eyebrows, but they didn't really care. They were too in love to be influenced by the voice of society. 2 years later, they tied the knot at a Las Vegas hotel in 1966. Mia Farrow was 21 years old at the time. Although it seemed like their marriage was going to work, Mia Farrow later claimed that she was too young and immature for such a serious commitment. She also revealed that Frank Sinatra wasn't exactly okay with the fact that she was working. He would often tell her this: "I'm a pretty good provider. I can't see why a woman would want to do anything else." Their marriage soon ended in a divorce in 1968, but the pair remained close friends. Mia Farrow would later get into a relationship and eventually marry Woody Allen. The pair had over 9 children, one of them being Ronan Farrow. But as he got older, people began to question if Woody Allen was truly his father because of the striking resemblance between him and Frank Sinatra. Although his parents and close family members are convinced that Woody Allen is his father, some people still have their doubts. Despite the suspicions, Ronan Farrow has decided to dismiss the suspicions. He has also vehemently refused to carry out DNA analysis to find out if Frank Sinatra is truly his father. In his words, Woody Allen, legally, ethically, and personally, was absolutely a father in our family. Although Ronan doesn't seem to care much about finding the truth, his mother has made some statements in interviews that suggest that she may have been involved with Frank Sinatra after their divorce. In a 2013 interview, Mia Farrow claimed that Ronan could possibly be the son of Frank Sinatra. Judging by her words, there is a high chance that Ronan is in fact Frank Sinatra's son. Carol Ann, Chaplin's baby. For a long time, Charlie Chaplin was known as a wholesome actor who became a household name through his roles, especially his famous tramp character. But after several years of building a successful career, some secrets about his personal life were revealed. Not only was Chaplin rumored to prefer significantly younger girls, he also allegedly got a young woman pregnant and denied it. Now, as a result of this, there were several pictures of the cute child all over the media and media reports that showed Chaplin refusing to take responsibility. He was convinced that he wasn't the father of the child, but this young woman continued to insist that Chaplin fathered her child. It all began in the early 1940s. While Chaplin was still married to his third wife, Paulette Goddard, he met a young and talented actress, and he was instantly drawn to her. She was beautiful, and she seemed like a promising actress, so he took her under his wing and eventually contracted her for an upcoming film titled Shadows and Substance. Chaplin and this actress named Joan Barry later got romantically involved with each other. There was no way Chaplin could deny having an affair with her, because as soon as she served him with a palimony suit, investigations began, and these led to revelations uncovered by the FBI. According to FBI documents, Chaplin told Barry to meet up with him in Los Angeles in 1942, paid for her plane ticket, and as soon as she got there, they began doing romantic activities. Barry also revealed that not only did they attended numerous parties together, she claimed that Chaplin convinced her to get romantically involved with other people, making her available to other men for immoral purposes. The pair also engaged in sexual acts several times in December of that year, and Barry believed that one of those times led to her daughter, Carol Ann, being conceived. The baby Carol Ann was born on the 2nd of October 1943. When Joan Barry informed Chaplin and he claimed he wasn't the father, she became furious. Not only did she accuse him of violating the Mann Act, but she also fought tooth and nail to prove that he was the father of her child. Over 3 blood tests were carried out, and all the results showed that Chaplin wasn't the father, but Joan believed that the medical professionals who carried out these tests were compromised. So she decided to fight harder, and this led to 2 trials. In the second one, a jury voted 11-1 that Chaplin was indeed the father of Joan Barry's child. As a result of this, Chaplin had to pay child support, and although he tried appealing, he lost. Liv Tyler, A Case of Hidden Paternity. Remember Arwen from The Lord of the Rings? Did you know that she is Steve Tyler and B.B. Buell's love child? B.B. Buell was a model who gained fame in the 1970s for her relationships with rock musicians, notably Todd Rundgren. She moved to New York in 1972 after signing with a modeling agency and became known for her liaisons with various musicians. During this time, she also pursued a music career, recording an EP and forming a band called The B-Sides. She was extremely passionate about music, and she certainly had a thing for musicians. From 1972 to 1979, Buell was in a long-term relationship with Todd Rundgren. However, in 1976, she became pregnant after a brief relationship with Steven Tyler, the lead singer of Aerosmith. This was the beginning of a complicated paternity dilemma. When Buell gave birth to her daughter, Liv Rundgren, in 1977, she claimed Rundgren as Liv's father on the birth certificate, citing Tyler's well-known struggles with drug addiction at the time. She didn't think Tyler was fit to raise her daughter, so she raised Liv to believe that her father was Rundgren. Liv didn't learn the truth about her paternity until she was around 11 years old. Upon noticing the resemblance between herself and Steven Tyler, she confronted her mother, and the truth was revealed. However, Buell kept the information private until Liv publicly acknowledged Steven Tyler as her father in 1991, changing her surname from Rundgren to Tyler. Buell's decision to initially claim Rundgren as Liv's father was due to concern for Liv's well-being, as Tyler was deeply involved in drug addiction during that period. Despite this, Liv and Steven Tyler have since developed a close relationship, and they've even collaborated professionally. Liv has expressed gratitude towards both Tyler and Rundgren, acknowledging Rundgren as a father figure in her life and maintaining a strong bond with both men. She is grateful for the gift of 2 phenomenal men that have become her father figures. Liv Tyler, the daughter of B.B. Buell and Steven Tyler, has risen to prominence as a successful actress in both film and television. She began her career at a young age, starting with modeling at just 14 years old. Her debut in the film industry came in 1994 with Silent Fall. However, it was her roles in films like Heavy and Empire Records in 1995 that garnered her critical acclaim. Her versatility as an actress was evident as she took on diverse roles in films like Armageddon in 1998, which became a major box office success. One of Tyler's most iconic roles came in the early 2000s when she portrayed the elf Arwen Undomiel in Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings film trilogy from 2001-2003. The trilogy not only solidified her status as a talented actress, but also became one of the highest-grossing film series in history, further boosting her fame. After her success with The Lord of the Rings, Tyler continued to showcase her acting prowess in a variety of roles. She appeared in films like Jersey Girl in 2004 and The Incredible Hulk in 2008, displaying her range across different genres. There is no denying that Liv Tyler is an amazing actress. Scott Eastwood, the Eastwood legacy. All his life, Scott Eastwood has been determined to make a name for himself, and one of the reasons why he did this was because his father trained him to be a man who can carve his own path. It is impossible to not notice the striking resemblance between the talented actor Scott Eastwood and the legend Clint Eastwood. It is not a secret that Scott is his son, but not many people know about the fact that Clint Eastwood, who was a married man, began a dangerous affair with a lady back in the 80s. This affair would later lead to the birth of Scott Eastwood in 1986. This is how it all began. In the 80s, when Clint Eastwood was gaining success in the industry, he was on top of the world. There were very few actors who could match his skills, and there was no denying that he was a big deal. As his fame grew, Clint got married to Maggie Johnson, but soon enough the cracks in their marriage began to show. It was said that while he was married to Maggie Johnson, he met a flight attendant that completely captured his attention. Her name was Jocelyn Reeves. She was living her life and focusing on her work when she met Clint Eastwood, who was already a star. Although there are no in-depth details about how they met, it was said that they later started an affair that lasted for a while. But this affair didn't just end in steamy romance. Jocelyn got pregnant for Clint, not once, but twice. First, they had Scott, then his sister Catherine after that. Unlike many fathers who abandon or deny children that they gave birth to out of wedlock, Clint took responsibility from the start and made up his mind to take care of his children. He wasn't just some absentee dad. He was still a huge part of Scott's life. He and his sister certainly felt his presence as he made sure he provided for them and taught them valuable life lessons. Scott practically grew up on his dad's ranch up in Northern California and spent so much time on his movie sets that he can't even remember his first visit to one. It was the time he spent watching his father on sets that sparked a desire in him to pursue acting. He fell in love with the craft and knew that if his father could succeed in the industry, he could do the same. However, Scott didn't expect his father to pave the way for him. When Scott decided to dive into the acting world himself, he wanted to do it on his own terms. So he started using his mom's last name, Reeves, for auditions. He needed to prove himself without riding on his dad's fame. He also knew his father well. Clint was never one to hand out favors left and right. Growing up during the Great Depression and experiencing poverty firsthand made him tough. He had to work extra hard for everything he had, and he made sure his children did the same. Scott had to hustle just like anyone else. He worked his way through Santa Barbara City College. His father made sure that he learned the value of money by making him pay his way through school and supporting him along the way. Because Scott started from scratch just like everyone else, he faced the tough early years of his career head-on. To make ends meet, he was slinging drinks at a bar near his home in San Diego by night, and by day he was busy hustling to auditions in LA, hoping he would get a big break. But you know what? All that hard work paid off. Scott carved out his own path in the industry and became a pretty big deal in his own right. He's not just Clint Eastwood's son. He's Scott Eastwood, making a name for himself both on screen and off. Scott has successfully built a solid career, landing significant roles in various genres. He has appeared in action films like Fury alongside Brad Pitt and Shia LaBeouf, as well as in romantic dramas like The Longest Ride. Like his father, Scott takes his work seriously and does not fail to put his best into every role. Scott's commitment to his craft and his willingness to take on diverse roles have contributed to his rising success in Hollywood. He has continued to build his resume with notable projects, including Suicide Squad in 2016 and Pacific Rim Uprising in 2018, among others. Beyond his work in front of the camera, Scott has also ventured into producing and directing. His dedication to storytelling and his willingness to explore different aspects of the industry reflects his passion for filmmaking. He is truly his father's son and feels fulfilled knowing that he built his career by himself. Jonathan Berkeley. Some know Tom Jones as that respected judge on The Voice UK with a seasoned voice, while others know him by his accomplishments in the industry. The Welsh singer is no doubt one of the most phenomenal singers Hollywood has ever produced. With a career that has spanned decades, the singer was known to have a string of top 10 hits in the 1960s and has successfully sold over 100 million records over the years. While his accomplishments are undoubtedly impressive, there is a side of Tom Jones's life that most people find daunting. Beyond the fame and his many accomplishments as a singer, Jones spent most of his early years in Hollywood doing things that a married man should not be seen doing. His many affairs with several women left his wife broken-hearted, and one of the affairs resulted in a son, Jonathan Berkeley. Tom Jones married high school love Linda Trenchard in the 1950s, before his career took off. Although they were madly in love with each other, nothing prepared them for the challenges that would unfold in their marriage. The first few years of their marriage seemed normal until Jones became a successful singer, and the rumors about his infidelity began to circulate. Interestingly, Tom Jones didn't deny the rumors as he claimed to have had affairs with over 250 women in a single year when his career was at its peak. It seems like his fame came with a lot of attention from women, and he was unable to control himself. The singer even had affairs with famous American women, some of whom he named later on in life. His deeds left his wife devastated, and soon enough, he got into an affair that came with consequences. While the singer was on tour in the U.S., he began an affair with a model named Catherine Berkeley. He probably thought it was going to be like one of his numerous affairs, but soon enough, Catherine Berkeley got pregnant. When he was informed about the pregnancy, he denied it, claiming that he didn't get her pregnant. Despite his refusal to take responsibility, Catherine was convinced that he was the father of her child. Tom Jones continued to ignore her as he believed that she was lying against him. Catherine Berkeley would later take the matter to court, and after a legal battle, Tom Jones was ordered to take a DNA test in 1989. After the test, the court ruled that Jones was the father of the boy. The court also ordered him to pay child support of $3,000 a month for the child's upkeep. But despite the court's verdict, Jones continued to deny the boy until 2008, when he finally admitted that he was the father of the boy. However, he said that he was coerced into the affair, claiming that Catherine Berkeley deceived him. In a later interview, he said, "It wasn't something I had planned. I was tricked, really. I just fell for it. I just fell for the seduction." It is said that he doesn't have a parental relationship with his son, who is now in his 30s. Eric Preminger, A Vow of Silence. Back in the 1940s, Gypsy Rose Lee was a name that was known all over Hollywood for many reasons. One of these reasons was the fact that she had an affair with a famous producer, which led to the birth of a love child named Eric. But before her life got complicated, she was a young woman who liked to live life on the edge. Gypsy wasn't just an actress and playwright. She had gone ahead to carve her own path through her famous striptease act. Gypsy considered herself to be an exotic stripper, and she usually found ways to make her act more interesting. She was also famous for her on-stage wit and stripping style. She would go on to become one of the most famous stars of Minsky's burlesque, but dancing was not all she did. In the 1930s, she was focused on growing her acting career, but only got to appear in 5 films. Although she was highly ambitious, she didn't get much success on screen, so she decided to relocate to New York City with plans to hone her skills and hopefully improve her career. On getting there, she got into an affair with the then-famous producer Mike Todd. It was said that Mike Todd was married to Bertha Freshman at the time. The affair would later lead to collaboration as the pair co-produced the 1942 musical revue, Star and Garter. It was during this period that she met Williams Alexander Kirkland. Kirkland was a leading man in Hollywood, particularly during the early sound era. In the early years of his career, he worked as a freelance writer and was said to be one of the writers who contributed to some popular national magazines. He garnered most of his fame through his acting career, appearing as a leading in Tarnished Lady and entertaining his audiences through movies like Social Register. He was still making waves as an actor when he met Gypsy. The pair got married in 1942, but their union didn't last long. While Gypsy was married to Kirkland, she got into an affair with the then-famous film producer, Otto Preminger. It was said that Otto Preminger's marriage to his wife Marian was shaky at the time. He was still married, but living like a bachelor. When he and Gypsy got into an affair, they intended to keep it a secret, but their affair didn't stay hidden for long. When Gypsy got pregnant, she knew she had to find a way to hide what she had done so that her husband would not find out. So, when Otto Preminger offered to take care of the child, she refused. His silence was far more valuable to her than any amount of money he was offering, so she elicited a vow of silence, pleading with Preminger to keep the secret between them. When she gave birth to the child, she named him Eric Kirkland, and her husband believed he was the father of the child. However, the truth eventually came out, and this led to the end of her marriage to Kirkland. Damien Charles Hurley. In the early 1980s, 18-year-old Steve Bing was given an inheritance that automatically made him wealthier than most celebrities at the time. He inherited over $600 million from his grandfather, who was a real estate developer, and went on to become one of the most successful film producers in Hollywood in the following years. But despite all the wealth he amassed, he rejected a son that he fathered with an actress, claiming that he was not the father of the child. Although he was wealthy, Bing was the kind of man who only channeled his resources to ventures and things that he considered important or profitable, and when it came to his personal life, many people questioned his personal choices. In the entertainment industry, he made waves through his company, Shangri-La Entertainment. He is also said to have invested in the successful animated film called The Polar Express. Bing also produced films like Last Man Standing, and it was clear that made smart investment choices in the industry. However, when he was not being a financier or working as a producer in the industry, he was settling his personal issues. Of all the scandals that circulated about the producer, denying the paternity of his child was the most shocking. In 2001, the producer got into a relationship with actress Elizabeth Hurley, and this relationship led to her getting pregnant. From every indication, Bing wanted nothing to do with the child, so he told Elizabeth to terminate the pregnancy. The actress refused and decided to keep the baby, hoping that Bing would come around. When the baby was born, Bing denied paternity, claiming that he and Elizabeth had an 18-month-long relationship that was not exclusive. He believed that she was not faithful to him while they were dating, so he doubted that the child was his. Elizabeth was sure that Bing was the father of her child, so she decided to do a DNA test to prove that he was the father of her son, Damien Charles Hurley. Interestingly, the test proved that Bing was indeed the father of the child, and this was when the producer decided to pay child support. He offered to pay 100,000 euros every year till the child turned 18 years old. But to his greatest surprise, Elizabeth refused his offer. She claimed that her and her son were doing just fine and that they didn't need his money. She also revealed that she was deeply hurt by the fact that Bing claimed that she had other lovers while they were dating. She also expressed the fact that Damien, her son, was her greatest blessing and that he made her life brighter and more beautiful. When asked the reason why she turned down the offer, she said, "I have always made it perfectly clear to Stephen Bing, the father of my son Damien, that I don't want any financial help from him whatsoever." Ruth Clapton, a blessing in disguise. It all started when Eric Clapton fell madly in love with his best friend's wife. This forbidden love would lead to several events that nobody saw coming. Known as one of the most phenomenal guitarists in rock music, Eric Clapton played in some local bands before forming his own rock and roll band with drummer Ginger Baker. He later released several successful albums and songs in the 1970s, and while all these were happening, he found himself falling for his best friend's wife. Eric Clapton and George Harrison got close in the 60s, and their bond grew every day. The duo spent a lot of time together, writing and recording music. Little did George know that a betrayal was lurking in the background. As time went on, Eric fell deeply in love with his best friend's wife, Pattie Boyd. Interestingly, it was said that he didn't hide how he felt, and he made it clear that he wanted her to himself. In the mid-1970s, it was said that Pattie Boyd divorced her husband and married Eric Clapton. Although this seemed like a dream come true for Eric Clapton, he soon began to do things that didn't reflect how much he claimed to love Pattie Boyd. In the course of their marriage, Clapton's alcohol addiction got the best of him, and he became a shadow of himself. As a result of this, he treated Pattie badly and was said to have been involved in multiple affairs. Sadly, while he was doing all this, he and Pattie were struggling to have children. Despite trying IVF, all their efforts were unsuccessful, and Pattie had several miscarriages. In the early 1980s, Clapton would begin yet another affair, but this time, it led to a pregnancy. The affair began when he was recording Behind the Sun. He met and began a relationship with a lady named Yvonne Kelly, who was the manager of a studio at the time. Shortly after, she got pregnant and had their daughter, Ruth Clapton, in 1985. Because they were both married at the time, they had to keep it a secret from their respective spouses. Patty Boyd later found out and she was utterly devastated, but despite the damage this did to their union, Clapton didn't stop. He went on to have yet another affair with an Italian model named Lori Del Santo. This affair also led to the birth of yet another love child named Connor. Patty Boyd would later reveal how she felt when she found out about the affair and the child. She claimed that Clapton expected a different reaction from her. In her words, "Because he loved me, he believed I would be pleased and happy for him that he had a baby. It was as if I was his best friend that he could tell me everything without realizing how deeply painful this was for me." The couple later went their separate ways, and Clapton is said to have maintained a good relationship with his children. Sadly, Connor passed away when he was only 4 years old. Abby Jason, a 52-year-old secret. Many people know Sir David Jason for his portrayal of the unforgettable Derek Del Boy Trotter in the British sitcom Only Fools and Horses, but very few people know about his personal life and the fact that he recently discovered that he fathered a child from a previous relationship. The actor's career has been undoubtedly phenomenal, and he has made a mark in Hollywood through his roles in several films and series. However, Sir David's journey to fame and recognition was not without its surprises, particularly in matters of family. Amidst his illustrious career, which began to take shape in the 1970s, Sir David found himself entwined in a brief but significant relationship with actress Jennifer Hill. Little did he know that this brief relationship would lead to the birth of his child. During this time, as Sir David was still forging his path in the entertainment industry, his personal life intersected with unexpected twists and turns. One such twist came in the form of a love child, Abby Harris, born in 1970 as a result of his relationship with Jennifer Hill. It was said that the actress, Jennifer Hill, didn't tell Sir David that he was the father of the child. He moved on with his life and got into several other relationships. For over 5 decades, the existence of Abby remained a hidden chapter in Sir David's life, unknown to him and his family. It wasn't until the year 2022, a staggering 52 years later, that the truth finally came to light. The revelation of Abby's existence came as a profound shock to Sir David, a moment he described as an understatement to capture the sheer magnitude of the surprise. However, in this unexpected revelation, Sir David and his family responded with grace and warmth. Embracing Abby and her son Charlie, they welcomed them into their lives with open arms, bridging the length of years that had separated them. The joy of newfound connection outweighed any sense of disbelief or astonishment as Sir David expressed his heartfelt sentiments to the Mirror. Before this revelation, Sir David had already experienced the joys of fatherhood in 2001, when his girlfriend Gil Hinchcliffe gave birth to their daughter. Their relationship blossomed further, culminating in marriage in 2005, and they settled in Ellsborough, Buckinghamshire, building a life together. Wyatt Russell, Love Without Bounds. If there is one Hollywood actor who has always been unapologetic about his views and beliefs, it's Kurt Russell. This is why he saw nothing wrong with having a child with his then-girlfriend, Goldie Hawn. Back then, society frowned upon having children out of wedlock, and the fact that Kurt and his girlfriend were both in the limelight at the time got people talking about their private life. Their love story began after Kurt's divorce from Susan Hubley in 1983. Kurt, having starred alongside Goldie in movies like Swing Shift and Overboard, found a deep connection with the actress that went beyond professional chemistry. Their relationship blossomed over the years, despite never walking down the aisle. Kurt and Goldie's relationship was rock solid. In the mid-1980s, their lives changed when Goldie found out that she was pregnant. This new addition changed their lives forever, and their son, Wyatt Russell, was born on July 10, 1986. Despite being born out of wedlock, Wyatt was welcomed into a loving family that transcended traditional norms. Kurt and Goldie's decision not to marry was a conscious one. In a candid interview with People magazine in December 2020, Kurt expressed that they never felt the need for a marriage certificate to validate their relationship. He eloquently stated that a piece of paper wouldn't create anything they didn't already have. As someone who was married before, he believed that he didn't need to get a piece of paper to solidify what he had with Hawn. He believed that what they shared was strong and worth fighting for. Their unconventional yet enduring love story has stood the test of time, as they both worked on growing their careers. Their commitment to each other and their family goes beyond societal expectations, proving that love knows no bounds, not even the bounds of marriage. Interestingly, their son Kurt is following their footsteps and building his career as an actor. Wyatt Russell, born into a family that defied conventional norms, has charted his own unique path in Hollywood, paralleling the non-traditional approach his parents took. From his early days, Wyatt was immersed in an environment that valued personal choice and creative freedom over societal expectations. Initially pursuing a career in hockey, Wyatt played professionally in Europe and North America until injuries led him to retire from the sport. This shift in career paths opened a new door for Wyatt into the acting world, a domain both his parents had excelled in. As an actor, Wyatt Russell has brought a distinct presence to the screen, characterized by an authenticity and charisma that seem to echo his upbringing. His transition from sports to acting wasn't just a change in profession, but a continuation of the storytelling legacy of his family. Wyatt's roles, such as his portrayal of John Walker in The Falcon and The Winter Soldier, showcase his ability to navigate complex characters, often imbuing them with a nuanced vulnerability. His performance in this series was particularly lauded for adding depth to a controversial character, reflecting Wyatt's skill in embracing and interpreting challenging roles. This ability to connect with diverse roles speaks to his upbringing in a family that embraced differences and encouraged expression beyond traditional frameworks. Dina Norris, her father's love. Chuck Norris, the well-known actor and screenwriter, grew his career to a point where he became well-respected. However, along the line, he cheated on his wife and fathered a daughter, but he didn't know about his love child until she wrote him a letter in 1991. But before we get into the full story about the affair, let's go back to the very beginning. When Chuck Connors was in high school, he fell in love with his schoolmate, Diane. The pair would later get married when Chuck was 18 years old. Chuck spent the following years building his career until he and his wife welcomed their first son, Mike, in 1962. It seemed like their marriage was thriving, but Chuck's wife had no idea that her husband would cheat on her the following year. Around that time, the actor worked as a martial artist, training several celebrities in Hollywood. He also went on to appear in several films like An Eye for an Eye and Missing in Action. He became famous in the action film genre and garnered a lot of fame as a result of his performances. However, after several years of building a successful career, a secret that he had kept hidden for several years resurfaced. In the early 1960s, while stationed in California with the U.S. Air Force, he got into an affair with a woman named Johanna. It was later revealed that he never told the woman he was married, and by the time she found out, it was too late. Their affair later came to an end, but Chuck had no idea that this chapter of his life was far from being closed. Johanna got pregnant for him and had the baby, but she didn't tell him about the child until he found out years later. In the early 1990s, Chuck was going about his life when he got a shocking letter from a young woman claiming to be his daughter. Despite her mother's persistent warning not to reach out to Chuck, she desperately wanted to have a relationship with her father, so she decided to reach out. Interestingly, Chuck instantly believed her and arranged to meet with her and her mother. Chuck would later reveal that he didn't need a DNA test to confirm that she was his. He embraced her, and they both wept. In his words, "I didn't need DNA or blood tests." He revealed that in that moment, he felt like he had known her all his life. Since then, he has been an active part of her life and has continued to build the bond between them. It is clear that the actor loves his daughter and is now making up for lost time. In the heart of the 1930s, a decade marked by the Great Depression and the rise of cinematic escapism, Hollywood's king, Clark Gable, stood at the pinnacle of stardom. His rugged charm and charismatic presence captivated audiences worldwide, but behind the scenes, a complex web of forbidden love affairs was unfolding, far from the prying eyes of the public. It was on the set of Gone with the Wind, 1939, amidst the turmoil of a nation torn by civil war, that Gable's own tumultuous personal life mirrored the on-screen drama. While the cameras rolled, capturing the fiery romance between Rhett Butler and Scarlett O'Hara, Gable was entangled in a secretive affair that threatened to upend his carefully curated image. The object of Gable's affection was not his famous co-star, Vivien Leigh, but another renowned actress, known for her elegance and poise, a stark contrast to Gable's rugged persona. Their encounters were discreet, a dance of shadows and whispers in the hidden corners of Hollywood's grand sets and lavish parties. This affair, fueled by passion and fraught with risk, was a stark contradiction to Gable's public image as a happily married man. As whispers of the affair began to seep through the studio lots, the tension was palpable. Gabel, ever the consummate professional, continued to charm audiences on screen, but off-camera, he grappled with the complexities of a love that defied the conventions of the time. The affair was a well-kept secret, one that could jeopardize not just Gabel's reputation, but also the careers of those involved. This hidden chapter of Gabel's life was just one of many. His journey through Hollywood's golden age was marked by a series of clandestine relationships, each revealing a different facet of a man who was as complex in his personal life as he was charismatic on screen. But who was this mysterious actress, and how did their forbidden love story unfold amidst the glittering backdrop of Hollywood's most glamorous era? As we delve deeper into the untold story of Clark Gable's forbidden love affairs, we uncover a tale of passion, secrecy, and the price of love in a time when image was everything, and the truth was often hidden behind the silver screen. Loretta Young, A Scandalous Secret. In the early 1930s, Hollywood was a place where image was meticulously crafted, and scandals were often hidden behind the glamour of the silver screen. It was in this era that Clark Gable, the epitome of Hollywood's leading man, found himself entwined in a clandestine affair with the radiant Loretta Young, an actress known for her ethereal beauty and on-screen innocence. Their affair began on the set of The Call of the Wild, 1935, a film set against the backdrop of the Alaskan wilderness. The chemistry between Gable and Young was undeniable, both on and off the screen. However, their off-screen romance was fraught with risks, as both actors were rising stars bound by the strict moral codes of the time. The affair was kept under wraps with secret rendezvous and whispered promises, but the consequences of their liaison soon became impossible to hide. Young left Hollywood abruptly, citing illness, only to return months later with a child, a daughter named Judy. The official story was adoption, a narrative carefully constructed to protect both Young and Gable's reputations. The truth, however, was far more complex. Judy was, in fact, Gable and Young's biological daughter, a secret that was kept hidden for decades. Young went to great lengths to maintain this facade, even staging an elaborate adoption process to bring Judy into her home. The secret of Judy's parentage was a heavy burden, one that Young carried throughout her life. Gable, on the other hand, remained publicly detached from the situation. He continued his rise to stardom, becoming one of Hollywood's most beloved actors, while Young raised Judy on her own, her career also flourishing despite the personal challenges she faced. The affair and its aftermath were a testament to the complex dynamics of Hollywood's golden age. It was a time when personal lives were often sacrificed for the sake of public image, and secrets were a currency in the business of stardom. As Judy grew older, the truth about her parentage slowly came to light, revealing the hidden layers of her mother's and Gable's lives. The story of their affair and the daughter they shared is a poignant reminder of the sacrifices made and the lengths gone to protect reputations in a bygone era of Hollywood. The affair between Clark Gable and Loretta Young and the secret of their daughter remained one of Hollywood's most closely guarded secrets for years, a hidden chapter in the lives of two of its most iconic stars. Joan Crawford, passion on and off screen. The relationship between Clark Gable and Joan Crawford was one of Hollywood's most electrifying on-screen pairings, but their connection extended far beyond the camera's gaze. Their affair, marked by passion and intensity, was a well-known secret in Hollywood, adding a layer of intrigue to their already glamorous personas. Crawford and Gable first worked together in Dance Fools Dance, 1931, and the chemistry between them was immediate. Both were rising stars, and their on-screen romance quickly translated into a real-life affair. Their relationship was a blend of mutual admiration and a shared understanding of the pressures of stardom. The affair was characterized by its intensity and volatility. Both Gable and Crawford were known for their strong personalities, and their union was anything but tranquil. They shared a fiery passion that was as tumultuous as it was passionate. Their encounters were often hidden away in secluded spots, away from the prying eyes of the public and the studio bosses who were keen on maintaining their stars' clean images. Despite the passion, their relationship was also marked by practicality. Both were aware of the implications their affair could have on their careers. Crawford, in particular, was navigating a tumultuous marriage to Douglas Fairbanks Jr. at the time, and an open affair with Gable could have been disastrous for her image. Their affair spanned several years and numerous films together. Each project they shared brought them closer, yet the reality of their circumstances meant that their relationship could never truly develop beyond stolen moments and secret rendezvous. The studios, ever vigilant about protecting their investments, worked hard to keep the affair out of the headlines, but rumors and whispers persisted. The on-again, off-again nature of their relationship continued through the years, even as they both married other people. Their final film together, Strange Cargo, 1940, was a poignant end to their on-screen partnership, a reflection of the complex and passionate journey they had shared. The relationship between Clark Gable and Joan Crawford is a vivid illustration of the complexities of Hollywood relationships during the Golden Age. It was a time when image and reality were often at odds, and the pressures of fame and public perception dictated the course of personal relationships. Their affair, though fraught with challenges, was a testament to their undeniable connection, both as actors and as individuals. It remains a fascinating chapter in the history of Hollywood, a story of passion, discretion, and the intricate dance between public personas and private lives. Lana Turner, A Turbulent Affair. Known for her glamour and tumultuous personal life, Lana Turner had a complex and passionate relationship with Clark Gable that mirrored the drama of their on-screen performances. Their affair was one of Hollywood's open secrets, a relationship that was as intense as it was fraught with the complications of their respective public images. Turner and Gable first co-starred in Honky Tonk, 1941, and the attraction between them was immediate. Turner, with her stunning beauty and charisma, was at the peak of her career, while Gable was already an established star. Their on-screen chemistry was undeniable, and it wasn't long before rumors of a real-life romance began to circulate. The nature of their relationship was passionate and intense, characterized by its highs and lows. Both Turner and Gable were known for their strong wills and fiery personalities, which made their affair both exhilarating and tumultuous. They shared a deep connection, but their relationship was never smooth, often marked by passionate arguments and reconciliations. Their affair was complicated by the fact that both were married to other people at the time. Turner's marriage to Artie Shaw was already on the rocks, and her affair with Gable added further strain. Gable, on the other hand, was married to Carole Lombard, and his affair with Turner was a source of much guilt and conflict for him. Despite the challenges, Turner and Gable continued their relationship for several years, their affair spanning multiple film collaborations. Each project they worked on together reignited their passion, but it also brought the challenges of their situation back into focus. The studios, ever concerned about protecting their stars' images, worked tirelessly to keep the affair out of the public eye. The relationship came to an end as both actors moved on with their lives and careers. Turner's personal life continued to be marked by drama and scandal, most notably her involvement in the Johnny Stompanato homicide case. Gable, for his part, eventually found stability in his marriage to Kay Williams. Carole Lombard, the love of his life. Amidst the myriad of affairs and scandals that marked Clark Gable's life, his relationship with Carole Lombard stood out as a genuine love story. Their marriage was regarded as one of Hollywood's great romances, a rare instance where Gable's notorious womanizing gave way to a deep and enduring love. Gable and Lombard first met in 1932 during the filming of No Man of Her Own. At the time, there was no romantic involvement, as both were involved with other people. However, their paths crossed again in 1936 at a Hollywood party, and this time, the attraction was immediate and powerful. Lombard's vivacious personality and sharp wit captivated Gable, and their relationship quickly progressed. Their romance was not without obstacles. Gable was still married to his second wife, Rhea Langham, and the process of securing a divorce was both lengthy and public. Lombard, known for her free-spirited nature and disdain for convention, waited patiently for Gable, and their love only grew stronger during this period. The couple married in 1939, and their relationship was marked by a deep mutual respect and affection. Lombard's influence on Gable was profound. She helped him relax and enjoy life away from the pressures of Hollywood. They shared a passion for hunting and outdoor life, often escaping to their ranch in Encino for privacy and relaxation. Tragically, their marriage was cut short. In 1942, Lombard, while on a war bonds tour, was killed in a plane crash. Gable was devastated by her death. He enlisted in the Army Air Forces, a decision many believe was influenced by his grief. Lombard's death marked a turning point in Gable's life, and he was never quite the same after losing her. The love story of Clark Gable and Carole Lombard stands in stark contrast to Gable's reputation as a womanizer, showcasing a different side of the actor, a man capable of deep love and commitment. Their relationship remains a testament to the power of love in an industry often characterized by fleeting romances and superficial connections. Marian Davies, a discreet connection. The relationship between Clark Gable and Marian Davies, though less publicized than his other affairs, was a discreet connection that added another layer to Gable's complex romantic history. Davies, a talented actress and renowned beauty, was known for her long-term relationship with newspaper magnate William Randolph Hearst, which made her affair with Gable all the more secretive and delicate. Gable and Davies reportedly met at the lavish parties hosted by Hearst at San Simeon, his grand estate. These gatherings were legendary, attended by Hollywood's elite, and provided the perfect backdrop for discreet liaisons. Gable, charmed by Davies's wit and vivacity, found in her a kindred spirit, someone who understood the pressures and temptations of Hollywood life. Their affair was carefully concealed, as both were acutely aware of the potential repercussions. Hearst, a powerful figure in the industry, was fiercely protective of Davies, and any hint of infidelity could have had serious consequences for all involved. The relationship was thus kept out of the public eye, with meetings arranged in secret and with utmost caution. Despite the need for secrecy, those within certain Hollywood circles were aware of the affair. It was one of many open secrets in an industry where personal lives were often as scripted and managed as the films themselves. However, the respect and affection between Gable and Davies were evident to those who knew them, even if it had to be hidden from the wider world. The affair eventually ended, as both Gable and Davies moved on with their lives. Gable continued his string of high-profile relationships and marriages, while Davies remained with Hearst until his death. The relationship with Gable, though a brief chapter in her life, was a testament to Davies' complexity as a woman who navigated the intricate web of Hollywood relationships with grace and discretion. The connection between Clark Gable and Marian Davies is a lesser-known but intriguing aspect of Hollywood's romantic history. It highlights the hidden dynamics of relationships in an era where image and reputation were paramount and where love often had to find its way through the shadows of public scrutiny. Grace Kelly, A Royal Romance. The brief but notable connection between Clark Gable and Grace Kelly during the filming of Mogambo, 1953, was a relationship that caught the attention of both their peers and the media. Kelly, with her ethereal beauty and poised demeanor, was at the beginning of her meteoric rise in Hollywood, while Gable was an established star, the epitome of masculine charm. Set against the backdrop of the African safari, Mogambo provided the perfect setting for romance to blossom. Gable and Kelly's on-screen chemistry was palpable, and rumors quickly began to circulate about a real-life romance. Their attraction was a blend of Gable's rugged charm and Kelly's serene elegance, creating a dynamic that was both captivating and complex. The affair, though brief, was intense. Gable was drawn to Kelly's grace and sophistication, qualities that contrasted with his more rugged persona. For Kelly, Gable represented the quintessential Hollywood leading man, charismatic and worldly. Their romance, however, was not without its complications. Gable was married at the time, and Kelly was acutely aware of the importance of maintaining her pristine image. The relationship was discreet, with both stars understanding the implications of a public affair. They shared stolen moments away from the prying eyes of the press, but the romance was short-lived. The end of the film's production marked the end of their affair, with both returning to their respective lives and careers. Kelly's life took a dramatic turn when she left Hollywood to become Princess of Monaco, marrying Prince Rainier III. Gable, meanwhile, continued his career in Hollywood, his affair with Kelly becoming a whispered chapter in his storied life. The relationship between Clark Gable and Grace Kelly is a fascinating glimpse into the complexities of Hollywood romances. It was a connection that transcended the usual Hollywood affair, marked by a mutual respect and a shared understanding of the delicate balance between public image and private desire. Sylvia Ashley, A Duchess's Charm. Clark Gable's marriage to Sylvia Ashley, a British model and socialite who had previously been a duchess through her marriage to Douglas Fairbanks Sr., was a union that brought him into the world of British nobility but was fraught with challenges and differences. This chapter in Gable's life marked a departure from his usual Hollywood romances, offering a glimpse into his desire for stability and companionship in his later years. Ashley, known for her elegance and sophistication, was a stark contrast to the women Gable had previously been involved with. Their relationship began in the wake of personal tragedies for both. Gable was grieving the loss of his third wife, Carole Lombard, while Ashley had recently divorced Fairbanks. They found solace in each other's company, and their marriage in 1949 was seen as a fresh start for both. However, the marriage soon faced difficulties. Gable, a quintessential Hollywood star, was rooted in the glitz and glamour of American cinema, while Ashley was accustomed to the aristocratic lifestyle of British high society. These differing worlds and lifestyles led to clashes and misunderstandings. Ashley's penchant for high society and luxury was at odds with Gable's more down-to-earth personality. The couple's public appearances often portrayed a facade of marital bliss, but behind closed doors the reality was different. Their union was marked by increasing tension and disagreements over lifestyle choices and priorities. Gable's career in Hollywood continued to demand his attention, while Ashley's social engagements pulled her in different directions. Their marriage, which lasted until 1952, ultimately ended in divorce. The relationship with Sylvia Ashley was a chapter in Gable's life that highlighted his search for companionship and a sense of normalcy away from the Hollywood spotlight. However, it also underscored the challenges of merging two very different worlds and the complexities of finding love later in life. Kay Williams, the final chapter. Clark Gable's fifth and final marriage to Kay Williams, a former actress and model, represented a stabilizing force in the later years of his life. After a series of high-profile relationships and marriages, Gable's union with Williams was seen as a return to a more grounded and tranquil existence, away from the tumultuous romantic escapades of his past. Williams and Gable's relationship began in a Hollywood that was changing rapidly. Gable, once the undisputed king of Hollywood, was facing the challenges of an industry that was evolving and a new generation of actors rising to prominence. Williams, with her understanding and supportive nature, provided Gable with a sense of comfort and normalcy. Their marriage in 1955 was a low-key affair, reflecting their desire for a more private life. Williams was aware of Gable's history and the pressures of being married to one of Hollywood's most iconic figures. She navigated this role with grace, providing a stable home life and becoming a trusted confidant and partner to Gable. The couple's life together was marked by a shared love of the outdoors and a simpler lifestyle, far removed from the glamour and intensity of Gable's earlier years in the spotlight. They enjoyed quiet times at their ranch, a stark contrast to the lavish Hollywood parties and premieres that had once been a staple of Gable's life. In 1960, Williams and Gable were overjoyed to discover they were expecting a child. However, their happiness was short-lived. Gable suffered a severe heart attack and passed away just months before the birth of their son, John Clark Gable. Williams was left to navigate the challenges of widowhood and single motherhood, all while dealing with the immense legacy of her late husband. Clark Gable's marriage to Kay Williams was a final chapter that brought him peace and contentment, a stark contrast to the earlier, more turbulent years of his life. Their relationship was a testament to the power of love and companionship in providing stability and happiness, even amidst the ever-changing landscape of Hollywood. The story of Gable and Williams is a poignant reminder of the personal journeys and transformations that can occur over a lifetime, especially for those living in the public eye. It was a chapter that closed the book on the romantic escapades of one of cinema's most legendary figures, offering a glimpse into a more serene and contented side of Clark Gable's life. In the glittering era of 1930s Hollywood, amidst the grandeur of Art Deco sets and the allure of silver screen glamour, a star was rising. Jean Harlow, the original blonde bombshell. Her platinum hair and sultry looks captivated audiences worldwide, but behind the scenes, a different story was unfolding, one that was not scripted for the silver screen. It was during the filming of Red Dust in 1932, a production set in the steamy backdrop of Indochina, that Harlow's strong-willed nature came to a head. The set was abuzz with the usual flurry of activity, but tensions were simmering beneath the surface. Harlow, known for her assertive personality, was at odds with the film's director, Victor Fleming. The clash was over a scene that Harlow felt didn't resonate with her character's essence, a disagreement that would escalate into a full-blown confrontation. Fleming, known for his no-nonsense approach, was unyielding, insisting that the scene was crucial. Harlow, equally stubborn, refused to back down, challenging Fleming in front of the entire crew. The standoff was intense, with Harlow's fiery temperament on full display. Witnesses later recounted how the set went silent, the tension palpable in the air. The confrontation ended with Harlow storming off the set, leaving a stunned crew in her wake. This incident was emblematic of Harlow's time in Hollywood, a period marked by her battles against the studio system's constraints and her insistence on having a say in her career. Her refusal to be a docile figure in a male-dominated industry was groundbreaking, but it also earned her a reputation for being difficult to work with. As the cameras rolled and the director called action, Harlow's on-screen persona was that of the untouchable glamour girl, but off-screen she was a woman of grit and determination, unafraid to stand up for herself. This duality of Harlow's character, the glamorous star and the strong-willed woman, was a constant theme in her career, a career that was as much defined by her talent as it was by her refusal to conform to Hollywood's expectations. But what lay beneath this assertive exterior? Was Harlow's difficult behavior a mere product of Hollywood's pressure cooker environment, or was there more to the story of this blonde bombshell who dared to challenge the status quo? As we peel back the layers of Harlow's life and career, we uncover a tale of ambition, defiance, and the complex nature of fame in Hollywood's golden age. Jean Harlow, the blonde bombshell's battles. Hollywood's original blonde bombshell, Harlow was as renowned for her strong-willed nature as she was for her luminous on-screen presence. Behind the glamorous facade, Harlow often found herself in battles that revealed a different side to her character, one that was at odds with the submissive roles typically assigned to women in the industry during the 1930s. One such battle occurred during the production of Red-Headed Woman in 1932. Harlow, determined to break free from the stereotype of the ditzy blonde, clashed with director Jack Conway over the portrayal of her character. Harlow envisioned a more nuanced performance, while Conway insisted on a more straightforward interpretation. The tension escalated to a point where Harlow refused to shoot certain scenes, leading to a heated exchange that halted production for a day. Harlow's assertiveness extended beyond the set. She was known for her candidness in an era where actresses were expected to be demure and compliant. Her refusal to adhere to the strict moral codes and expectations of female stars at the time often put her at odds with studio executives. Harlow's open defiance of these norms was groundbreaking, but it also branded her as troublesome in the eyes of many industry insiders. Another episode that highlighted Harlow's strong personality was her relationship with MGM's head, Louis B. Mayer. Mayer, known for his controlling nature, often dictated the personal and professional lives of his stars. Harlow, however, resisted his attempts to manage her career and personal life. She challenged Mayer's decisions on several occasions, a bold move that few stars dared to make. Harlow's personal life was equally tumultuous. Her marriages, particularly her union with producer Paul Byrne, were fraught with issues that spilled over into her professional life. The mysterious circumstances surrounding Byrne's death only added to the controversies that seemed to follow Harlow, affecting her reputation and adding to the perception of her as a Hollywood rebel. Despite these challenges, Harlow's talent and charisma shone through. She delivered captivating performances in films like Platinum Blonde, DZ 1931, and Bombshell, 1933, showcasing her range as an actress. However, her career was often overshadowed by the off-screen drama and her battles with the Hollywood establishment. Mae West, defying censorship and convention. The queen of double entendre and a symbol of sexual liberation in early Hollywood, Mae West was as notorious for her assertive personality as she was for her risque performances. Her career was a continuous battle against censorship and the conservative norms of her time, making her one of the most controversial figures in Hollywood history. West's clashes with censorship began early in her career, particularly with her Broadway plays like Sex, 1926, which she wrote, produced, and starred in. The play's bold content led to her arrest and a subsequent 10-day jail sentence for corrupting the morals of youth. This incident set the tone for her future endeavors in Hollywood, where she continued to push boundaries. Upon her arrival in Hollywood, West immediately made her mark with films like She Done Him Wrong, 1933, and I'm No Angel, 1933. Her scripts were filled with sexual innuendos and provocative themes, drawing the ire of the newly established Production Code Administration, PCA. West's constant battle with the PCA became a defining aspect of her career. She often had to rewrite her lines to evade censorship, but she did so in a way that maintained the essence of her risque style. West's assertive nature extended beyond her professional work. She was known for her bold statements and unabashed confidence, a rarity for women in the industry at the time. Her famous quip, "When I'm good, I'm very good, but when I'm bad, I'm better," encapsulated her approach to life and her career. Her personal life was equally unconventional. West never married, a decision that was unconventional for women of her era. She maintained numerous relationships throughout her life, defying societal expectations and norms. Her open attitude towards sexuality and relationships was revolutionary, but it also led to her being labeled as difficult and controversial. Despite the challenges, West's impact on Hollywood was undeniable. She was one of the highest-paid stars of her time and saved Paramount Pictures from bankruptcy with her films. However, her career suffered as censorship rules became stricter, limiting the scope of her performances. Rita Hayworth, the love goddess's turmoil. Known as the love goddess of Hollywood, Hayworth captivated audiences with her stunning beauty and talent. However, behind the glamour, Hayworth faced personal struggles that sometimes manifested in challenging behavior, impacting her professional relationships and her image in the industry. Hayworth's most tumultuous period was during her marriage to Prince Ali Khan. The high-profile nature of their relationship brought immense media attention, but it was fraught with issues. The stress of this public scrutiny, combined with her husband's reported infidelities, took a toll on Hayworth. During this time, her behavior on set became increasingly erratic. She was known to be late or absent, causing delays in production schedules. This unreliability was out of character for the star, who was previously known for her professionalism. One notable incident occurred during the filming of Miss Sadie Thompson, 1953. Hayworth's personal life was unraveling, and it began to affect her work. She would often arrive late and unprepared, visibly distressed, which led to tensions with the crew and her co-stars. The production was plagued with delays, and the budget ballooned, largely due to Hayworth's inability to perform as expected. Hayworth's struggles were compounded by her battles with Columbia Pictures head Harry Cohn. Cohn was known for his controlling nature, and he often clashed with Hayworth over her career choices and personal life. Hayworth's resistance to Cohn's attempts to manage her life added to her reputation as being difficult, a label that was in many ways unfair given the circumstances she was facing. Her personal challenges, including a series of failed marriages and struggles with alcohol, were often played out in the public eye, affecting her reputation. The media's portrayal of Hayworth was not always sympathetic, painting her as a troubled star, which only added to her difficulties. Despite these challenges, Hayworth's legacy in Hollywood is enduring. She remains one of the most iconic figures of the golden age of cinema. Her story is a poignant reminder of the pressures faced by stars, particularly women, in an industry that often prioritized public image over personal well-being. Hayworth's journey through the turmoil of fame and personal struggles is a testament to her resilience and the complexities of life behind the glamour of Hollywood. Norma Shearer breaking the mold. A prominent actress in the early days of Hollywood, Norma was known not just for her on-screen talent, but also for her strong personality and determination to shape her own career, a stance that was unusual and often challenging in her time. Shearer's assertiveness was most evident in her relentless pursuit of the role of Jerry in The Divorcee, 1930, a film that would earn her an Academy Award. Despite the studio's initial reluctance to cast her in such a bold and unconventional role, Shearer was undeterred. She personally arranged a photo shoot, presenting herself in a more glamorous and sensual light, starkly different from her usual image. This move was bold and risky, but it paid off, showcasing her determination and ability to take control of her career. Her marriage to MGM's production chief, Irving Thalberg, gave her a unique position in the studio hierarchy, but it also led to accusations of favoritism. Shearer, however, did not let this undermine her ambitions. She continued to push for challenging and diverse roles, often clashing with studio executives and directors over her career choices. Her insistence on having a say in her roles and her refusal to be typecast or sidelined was groundbreaking for an actress at the time. Shearer's strong-willed nature extended to her personal life as well. She was known for her independence and her refusal to conform to the traditional expectations of women in Hollywood. This independence, while admirable, was sometimes perceived as arrogance, leading to strained relationships within the industry. One incident that highlighted Shearer's assertive nature occurred during the production of Marie Antoinette, 1938. Shearer was heavily involved in the production, from the script to the casting, and her involvement was sometimes seen as overbearing. Her determination to portray the character in a specific light led to disagreements with the director, W.S. Van Dyke, and tension on set. Despite these challenges, Shearer's career was marked by significant achievements. She was one of the few actresses of her time who successfully transitioned from silent films to talkies, and she continued to deliver critically acclaimed performances throughout her career. Clara Bow, the original It Girl's struggles. Hollywood's first It Girl, captivated audiences with her vibrant on-screen presence and became an icon of the Roaring '20s. However, her off-screen life was marked by personal challenges and behavior that often led to conflicts within the industry. Bow's upbringing in a poverty-stricken and troubled family in Brooklyn was a stark contrast to the glitz of Hollywood. Her rise to fame was rapid, but it came with pressures that she was ill-equipped to handle. Bow's lack of formal education and her uninhibited personality, which charmed audiences on screen, sometimes resulted in behavior that Hollywood's elite found uncouth and unprofessional. One notable incident that reflected Bow's struggles occurred during the filming of Call Her Savage for 1932. Bow, known for her spontaneous and uninhibited acting style, clashed with director John Francis Dillon over her performance. Her refusal to adhere to Dillon's directing style and her insistence on improvising led to heated exchanges on set. Bow's unpredictable behavior, a result of the immense pressure she faced, often left the crew and her co-stars on edge. Bow's personal life was a constant source of gossip and scandal, which further complicated her professional relationships. Her numerous affairs with co-stars and other Hollywood figures were well publicized, leading to a reputation that was at odds with the conservative morals of the time. This reputation, whether deserved or not, often overshadowed her talent and contributions to the film industry. The constant media scrutiny and the pressure of living up to her it girl image took a toll on Bow's mental health. She suffered from bouts of depression and anxiety, which were exacerbated by the demanding nature of her career. Her behavior became increasingly erratic, and she struggled with alcohol and substance abuse, further damaging her reputation in Hollywood. Lupe Velez, the Mexican Spitfire's fiery legacy. Known as the Mexican Spitfire, Lupe Velez was celebrated for her vibrant and passionate performances in Hollywood. However, her fiery temperament often led to tumultuous interactions and conflicts, overshadowing her professional achievements. Velez's volatile nature was most famously displayed in her tumultuous relationship with actor Gary Cooper. Their on-again, off-again romance was fraught with dramatic public fights and reconciliations, drawing considerable media attention. Velez's passionate and sometimes aggressive behavior in this relationship was well documented, with incidents of public arguments and confrontations that stunned onlookers and colleagues alike. On set, Velez's fiery personality was equally evident. During the filming of The Girl from Mexico, 1939, and its subsequent sequels, Velez was known for her demanding nature and occasional outbursts. Her insistence on perfection and her unfiltered expression of emotions often put her at odds with directors and co-stars. While her spirited nature was part of her charm on screen, it sometimes translated into challenging behavior during production. Velez's personal life was marked by a series of high-profile and stormy relationships, not just with Cooper, but with other figures in the industry. Her love life was a constant source of gossip and speculation, contributing to her reputation as a tempestuous figure in Hollywood. One of the most tragic aspects of Velez's life was her untimely death at the age of 36. The circumstances surrounding her death were sensationalized by the media, with much focus on her volatile personal life and struggles. This sensationalism often overshadowed her talent and the barriers she broke as a Mexican actress in Hollywood. Despite the challenges she faced, Lupe Velez's legacy in the film industry is significant. She was one of the first successful Latin American actresses in Hollywood, paving the way for future generations. Her vibrant on-screen presence and her contributions to the industry are undeniable. However, her story is also a reflection of the struggles faced by actors who navigate fame and personal challenges in the public eye, and how these struggles can sometimes manifest in behavior that is perceived as difficult. Gloria Swanson, silent screen queen's conflicts. A major star of the silent film era, Swanson was known for her strong personality and her influence in the film industry. While her talent and contributions to cinema were immense, her assertive nature sometimes led to conflicts and challenging interactions within Hollywood. Swanson's determination to control her career was groundbreaking, especially for a woman in the early 20th century. She was one of the first actresses to form her own production company, allowing her a degree of control over her films that was rare at the time. However, this independence and desire for control sometimes brought her into conflict with studio executives and directors. One notable example of Swanson's assertive nature clashing with industry norms was during her work with director Erich von Stroheim on Queen Kelly, 1929. The production was fraught with disagreements over the film's direction and budget. Swanson, who was also the producer, found Stroheim's extravagant spending and slow pace intolerable. The situation escalated to the point where she made the decision to halt production and replace Stroheim, a move that was controversial and bold. Swanson's personal life was equally as headline-grabbing as her professional one. Her multiple marriages and affairs were the subject of much gossip, and her lifestyle was seen as emblematic of the excesses of Hollywood. This reputation, while part of her allure, also led to her being perceived as a diva, particularly as the silent era gave way to talkies, and her career began to wane. Her most famous comeback role in Sunset Boulevard, 1950, as Norma Desmond, a faded silent film star, was seen as art imitating life. Swanson's portrayal of Desmond's descent into madness and obsession was critically acclaimed, but it also reinforced the public's perception of her as a relic of a bygone era, struggling to maintain her relevance in a rapidly changing industry. Dorothy Dandridge, Talent Against Barriers. A groundbreaking African-American actress and singer, Dorothy faced significant racial barriers in Hollywood. Her talent was undeniable, but her journey was marked by struggles against discrimination and typecasting. Dandridge's assertive stance against these barriers was often seen as difficult behavior in an era when such resistance was rare and frowned upon. One of the most significant moments in Dandridge's career that highlighted her challenges occurred during the production of Carmen Jones, 1954, for which she became the first African-American woman nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actress. Despite this achievement, Dandridge struggled to find roles that were not stereotypical or demeaning. Her refusal to accept these limited roles led to a reputation for being selective and challenging, a label that was unjust given the limited opportunities available to her. Dandridge's personal life was also fraught with challenges. Her marriage to dancer Harold Nicholas was tumultuous, marked by infidelity and professional jealousy. The stress of her personal life, combined with the pressures of breaking racial barriers in Hollywood, took a toll on her mental health and professional relationships. A poignant example of the racial discrimination Dandridge faced was an incident at a popular Hollywood hotel where she was performing. Despite being a headliner, she was told she couldn't use the hotel's swimming pool. In defiance, Dandridge dipped her toe into the pool, leading to the hotel, draining the entire pool. This act of discrimination and Dandridge's response to it were emblematic of the challenges she faced as a black woman in a segregated industry. Despite these obstacles, Dandridge's talent shone through. She delivered memorable performances in films like Porgy and Bess, 1959, and Island in the Sun, 1957. However, her career was cut short by early death, and she never saw the full recognition she deserved during her lifetime. Miriam Hopkins, Feuds and Fervor. Known for her versatile acting skills in the early days of Hollywood, Miriam also had a reputation for being fiercely independent and often difficult to work with. Her career was marked by feuds with other actresses and a demanding nature on set, which frequently led to conflicts and strained relationships within the industry. One of the most famous feuds in Hollywood history was between Hopkins and her co-star Bette Davis. The animosity reportedly began during the filming of The Old Maid, 1939, where Hopkins felt upstaged by Davis. Hopkins, known for her meticulous preparation and strong opinions about her roles, clashed with Davis over scenes, leading to a tense and competitive atmosphere on set. This rivalry continued for years, becoming a part of Hollywood lore. Hopkins's demanding nature was also evident during the production of Becky Sharp, 1935, the first feature film made in 3-strip Technicolor. Hopkins was insistent on having her ideas heard, often challenging director Rouben Mamoulian's decisions. Her insistence on multiple takes and her attention to detail, while a testament to her dedication, often exasperated the crew and her co-stars. Another notable incident occurred with director Ernst Lubitsch during the filming of Trouble in Paradise, 1932. Hopkins, who had previously worked successfully with Lubitsch, began to assert more control over her character, leading to disagreements over the film's direction. Her strong-willed approach and unwillingness to compromise sometimes made her a challenging collaborator. Off the set, Hopkins' personal life was as dramatic as her on-screen roles. Her multiple marriages and affairs, along with her outspoken personality, kept her in the public eye. She was unapologetic about her lifestyle, which was unconventional for a woman in that era, and this often contributed to her reputation as a difficult personality in Hollywood. Despite these challenges, Hopkins left a significant mark on the film industry. She was known for her ability to portray complex characters and was one of the most sought-after actresses of her time. However, her career was undoubtedly affected by her reputation for being temperamental and challenging to work with. Hedy Lamarr, Beauty, Brains, and Battles. Celebrated as one of the most beautiful women in Hollywood and a pioneering inventor, Hedy had a career that was as tumultuous as it was illustrious. Her personal life, marked by multiple marriages and a series of scandals, often led to a tumultuous career in Hollywood. Lamarr's intelligence and inventiveness were in stark contrast to the roles she was often given, which focused more on her physical appearance than her acting ability. This typecasting frustrated Lamarr, who longed for more challenging roles. Her dissatisfaction sometimes manifested in conflicts with studio executives who were more interested in capitalizing on her beauty than her talent. One of the most significant battles Lamarr faced was not on set, but in her personal life. Her 6 marriages were often the subject of public scrutiny and gossip, contributing to a perception of her as unstable and difficult. Her 3rd marriage to actor John Loder in particular was fraught with issues. The couple's tumultuous relationship was well known in Hollywood circles, and their public arguments and eventual divorce were sensationalized by the media. Lamarr's reputation was further complicated by a shoplifting scandal in the 1960s. Although the charges were eventually dropped, the incident added to the narrative of her being a troubled star. This event, combined with her fading film career, painted a picture of a once glamorous actress struggling to find her place in a rapidly changing industry. Despite these challenges, Lamarr's contributions to both cinema and science are undeniable. She co-invented a frequency-hopping technology that laid the groundwork for modern Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, showcasing her incredible intellect. However, her scientific achievements were largely unrecognized during her lifetime, overshadowed by her beauty and the scandals that surrounded her. Mary Pickford, known as America's Sweetheart, was not just a darling of the silver screen, but also a formidable force behind the scenes. Her angelic face and charming curls belied a will of iron and a determination to wield unparalleled control over her films. It was during the production of Coquette, 1929, a film that would earn her an Academy Award, that Pickford's iron grip on control came to a dramatic head. The set was abuzz with the usual flurry of activity, but beneath the surface, tensions were simmering. Pickford, insistent on perfecting her transition from silent film to talkies, clashed fiercely with director Sam Taylor. Her insistence on reshooting scenes, despite Taylor's objections, led to a notorious standoff that would become Hollywood legend. One particular incident epitomized the conflict. During a crucial scene, Pickford demanded yet another take, unsatisfied with her performance. Taylor, exhausted and frustrated by the endless retakes, challenged her decision. In response, Pickford, with a steely gaze and an unwavering voice, declared, "This is my picture, and we will shoot until I get it right." The set fell silent, the crew and cast caught in the crossfire of a battle of wills. This moment was emblematic of Pickford's career, a blend of immense talent and an unyielding desire for control. Her battles were not just with directors or studio executives, they were a reflection of a larger struggle for autonomy in an industry where women were often relegated to roles in front of the camera, not behind it. But what drove America's Sweetheart to assert such control? Was it a relentless pursuit of perfection, a response to the pressures of transitioning to talkies, or something more? Mary Pickford. Often hailed as America's sweetheart, Mary Pickford was a pioneer of early Hollywood, not just for her on-screen performances, but also for her formidable influence behind the scenes. However, her insistence on complete control over her films often led to significant conflicts, painting a picture of a star who was as much a stern taskmaster as she was a beloved actress. During the production of Coquette in 1929, Pickford's determination to transition successfully from silent films to talkies was put to the test. She was not only the star of the film, but also a producer, wielding considerable power over the production. Her commitment to perfection led to repeated clashes with the film's director, Sam Taylor. One of the most telling incidents occurred over a key scene that Pickford felt needed to be reshot. Taylor, confident in the footage already captured, resisted. Pickford, however, was unyielding. She believed the scene was crucial to her character's development and the film's success. Her insistence led to a heated exchange, with Pickford asserting her authority and overriding Taylor's decision. This incident delayed the production and increased the budget, but for Pickford, the artistic outcome justified the means. Pickford's control extended beyond the set. She was deeply involved in the editing process, often spending hours in the cutting room, ensuring that every frame aligned with her vision. Her hands-on approach was groundbreaking for an actress at the time, but it also led to her being perceived as overbearing and inflexible by some of her collaborators. Her dominance in film production was partly driven by her early experiences in Hollywood, where she saw firsthand how actresses could be exploited and marginalized. Determined not to fall into the same trap, Pickford took control of her career, making decisions that were traditionally reserved for male executives and directors. However, Pickford's assertiveness came at a cost. Her relationships with various directors and studio executives were often strained. The respect she commanded was sometimes tinged with resentment, and her unrelenting standards led to her being labeled difficult and demanding. Joan Fontaine. An actress celebrated for her poise and talent, Fontaine was equally known for her long-standing feud with her sister, Olivia de Havilland. This rivalry, deeply personal and fraught with complexity, extended into their professional lives, creating tension on sets and within the Hollywood community. The roots of Fontaine and de Havilland's feud were intricate, woven into the fabric of their early lives and careers. Both sisters were talented actresses, but the competition between them was fueled by more than just professional rivalry. It was a battle for recognition, approval, and love, both from their family and the industry. One of the most public manifestations of their rivalry occurred during the 1942 Academy Awards. Both Fontaine and de Havilland were nominated for Best Actress, Fontaine for Suspicion, and de Havilland for Hold Back the Dawn. The tension was palpable when Fontaine won the Oscar, a moment that should have been purely celebratory but was instead tinged with bitterness. The sisters' relationship, already strained, deteriorated further after this event. On set, Fontaine's interactions were often colored by this rivalry. Her relationships with directors and co-stars were sometimes strained, as many in the industry were aware of the feud and its undercurrents. This awareness created an atmosphere where Fontaine's actions and words were often scrutinized through the lens of her competition with de Havilland. Fontaine's feud with her sister was not her only challenge. She was known to have a reserved and somewhat aloof demeanor, which, while part of her on-screen charm, sometimes led to misconceptions about her personality. Her guarded nature was often mistaken for coldness, making it difficult for her to forge strong connections with some of her colleagues. Despite these challenges, Fontaine's career was marked by significant achievements. She delivered memorable performances in films like Rebecca, 1940, and Jane Eyre, 1943. However, her professional accomplishments were often overshadowed by her feud with de Havilland, a narrative that dominated public perception of both sisters. Merle Oberon. Celebrated for her captivating beauty and talent, Merle Oberon was a prominent figure in Hollywood's golden age. However, behind her enigmatic persona lay a reputation for being difficult, partly stemming from her secretive nature and her demanding behavior on set. Oberon's background was shrouded in mystery, a deliberate choice to craft a persona that aligned with Hollywood's glamorous expectations. She was notoriously secretive about her early life, which was marked by humble beginnings and racial ambiguity, a stark contrast to the image she presented in Hollywood. This secrecy was not just a personal choice, but a survival strategy in an industry and era where racial prejudice could severely limit her career. Her insistence on maintaining this carefully crafted image led to tensions with those she worked with. During the production of Wuthering Heights, 1939, Oberon's relationship with director William Wyler became strained. She was particular about how she was portrayed on screen, often clashing with Wyler over her character's depiction. Her demands for specific lighting and camera angles, driven by a desire to maintain her flawless on-screen appearance, often slowed down the production and frustrated the crew. Oberon's personal life was equally complex. Her marriages, particularly to producer Alexander Korda, were marked by power dynamics that spilled over into her professional life. Korda's influence helped shape Oberon's career, but it also led to perceptions of favoritism and added to her reputation as a challenging actress to work with. Despite her talent, Oberon's career was affected by her insistence on controlling her image and her often demanding behavior on set. Her reluctance to reveal her true self and her insistence on maintaining a certain level of mystique made her a complex figure to many in the industry. Zsa Zsa Gabor. Known for her glamorous lifestyle, multiple marriages, and witty one-liners, Zsa Zsa Gabor was a unique figure in Hollywood. Her flamboyant personality and extravagant lifestyle made her a beloved celebrity, but these same traits sometimes caused friction in her professional interactions. Gabor's approach to her career was as unconventional as her personal life. She was more famous for being famous than for any specific film role, a testament to her ability to maintain public interest through her personality alone. However, this approach sometimes led to conflicts with those who expected a more traditional work ethic and dedication to the craft of acting. One of the most notable examples of Gabor's challenging behavior occurred during guest appearances on talk shows and at public events. Her candid remarks and diva-like demands were part of her charm, but they also led to difficult situations. She had a reputation for being late, changing arrangements at the last minute, and making extravagant requests, which often put her at odds with producers and hosts. Gabor's personal life was a roller coaster of high-profile relationships and marriages, including a tumultuous marriage to hotel magnate Conrad Hilton. Her relationships were often the subject of media scrutiny, overshadowing her work as an actress. Her open attitude towards her marriages and love life was revolutionary for the time, but also led to her being labeled as difficult and unpredictable. Despite these challenges, Gabor's charisma and ability to captivate an audience were undeniable. She had a knack for keeping herself in the public eye, a skill that made her a lasting figure in Hollywood lore. Her appearances in films like Moulin Rouge, 1952, and Lily, 1953, showcased her talent, but it was her larger-than-life persona that truly made her a star. Zsa Zsa Gabor's reputation in Hollywood is that of a woman who defied convention and lived life on her own terms. Her story is a blend of glamour, wit, and a nonconformist approach to fame. Betty Grable. Renowned as America's favorite pinup girl during World War II, Betty Grable charmed audiences with her talent and iconic looks. However, behind the scenes, Grable's insistence on certain conditions and top billing sometimes led to tension with studios, revealing a less-known aspect of her otherwise affable persona. Grable's status as one of the top box office draws came with significant influence, which she wasn't shy about using. Her insistence on top billing in her films was a well-known demand. This requirement, while understandable given her popularity, occasionally led to conflicts with co-stars and studio executives, especially when it involved ensemble casts or emerging talents. One notable instance of Grable's assertiveness occurred during negotiations for her film contracts. She was known for her specific requirements regarding salary, film roles, and even her co-stars. Her hard bargaining was a testament to her understanding of her worth as a star, but it also earned her a reputation for being demanding and difficult to negotiate with. Grable's insistence on having a say in her film roles and co-stars stemmed from her desire to maintain her image and career trajectory. However, this control over her career choices sometimes put her at odds with the studio's plans, leading to a tug-of-war over her film projects. Despite these behind-the-scenes tensions, Grable's on-screen persona remained that of the approachable and charming girl next door. She was immensely popular among the troops during World War II, symbolizing the ideal American woman. Her iconic pinup photo was a morale booster for soldiers, and her films were box office hits, solidifying her status as a Hollywood legend. Lana Turner. Known for her beauty and talent, Lana Turner was a prominent figure in Hollywood's golden age. However, her personal life, marked by tumultuous relationships and scandals, often overshadowed her career. Turner's temperament and the dramatic events surrounding her life affected her reputation and added a layer of notoriety to her public persona. One of the most defining moments in Turner's life was her involvement in the Johnny Stompanato homicide case. Stompanato, a known mobster and Turner's lover, was stabbed to death in Turner's home. The incident, which involved Turner's daughter Cheryl Crane, became a sensational scandal. Turner's testimony during the inquest, filled with emotion and drama, was front-page news and became a part of Hollywood lore. This tragic event and the media circus that followed cast a shadow over Turner's career and personal life. On set, Turner's personal struggles sometimes translated into challenging behavior. Her relationships with co-stars and directors were occasionally strained due to the stress and scrutiny she faced in her personal life. Turner was known for her strong will and assertiveness, traits that, combined with the pressures of her tumultuous personal affairs, sometimes resulted in a difficult working environment. Turner's numerous marriages and affairs were a constant source of media attention, contributing to her image as a troubled Hollywood star. Her relationship with Stompanato was just one of many high-profile and often problematic relationships that she navigated throughout her life. Despite these challenges, Turner's talent and star power were undeniable. She delivered memorable performances in films like The Postman Always Rings Twice, 1946, and Peyton Place, 1957. Her ability to captivate audiences remained strong, even as her personal life became fodder for public consumption. Susan Hayward. Recognized for her fiery red hair and equally fiery temperament, Susan was a celebrated actress in Hollywood, famed for her intense and passionate performances. However, her dedication to her roles and demand for perfection sometimes made her a challenging figure to work with, earning her a reputation for being formidable and uncompromising. Hayward's approach to her craft was marked by a fierce intensity. She immersed herself deeply in her roles, often pushing herself to emotional and physical extremes to deliver authentic performances. This dedication, while admirable, sometimes led to friction on set. Hayward was known to be exacting with directors and co-stars, insisting on a level of commitment and intensity that matched her own. One notable example of Hayward's demanding nature occurred during the filming of I Want to Live, 1958, a role for which she won an Academy Award. Hayward's portrayal of Barbara Graham, a woman on death row, was a tour de force, but the process of filming was intense. Hayward's insistence on authenticity led to several emotionally charged confrontations with director Robert Wise, as she pushed for scenes to be as realistic as possible, often demanding multiple retakes to capture the raw emotion she sought. Hayward's personal life was also marked by challenges. She faced several personal tragedies, including the death of her second husband, Eaton Chalkley, which deeply affected her. These personal struggles sometimes impacted her demeanor on set, where she could be withdrawn or exceptionally demanding, a reflection of the turmoil she was experiencing in her private life. Despite these difficulties, Hayward's talent was undeniable. She delivered a series of powerful performances in films like Smash Up, The Story of a Woman, 1947, and With a Song in My Heart, 1952. Her ability to portray complex and troubled characters won her critical acclaim and a dedicated fan base. Ava Gardner. With her striking beauty and captivating screen presence, Gardner was one of Hollywood's most iconic stars. However, her tumultuous personal life, including her high-profile marriage to Frank Sinatra, and her candid nature often brought her into conflict with the conservative standards of Hollywood at the time. Gardner's forthright personality was both refreshing and controversial. She was known for her frankness and unwillingness to conform to the demure image expected of female stars in that era. This candor, while endearing her to many, also led to tensions with studio executives who were wary of her outspokenness and its potential impact on her public image. One of the most public aspects of Gardner's life was her relationship with Frank Sinatra. Their marriage was highly publicized and tumultuous, marked by passionate love and equally passionate arguments. The intensity of their relationship spilled over into the public eye, creating a media frenzy that often overshadowed Gardner's professional achievements. On set, Gardner's straightforward approach sometimes translated into a perceived difficulty. She was uncompromising in her artistic choices and often clashed with directors over her character portrayals. Her insistence on authenticity in her performances led to disagreements and delays in production, but it also resulted in some of the most memorable performances of her career. Gardner's lifestyle, characterized by late-night parties and a social circle that included some of the most famous names in Hollywood, further fueled her reputation as a free spirit in an industry that was still bound by traditional values. Her refusal to lead a private life that aligned with the studio's conservative image of a star was seen as rebellious and challenging. Despite these challenges, Ava Gardner is one talented actress who lived life on her terms. She brought depth and complexity to her roles, from The Killers, 1946, to Mogambo, 1953, showcasing her range and talent. Gardner's story is a testament to the struggles faced by women in Hollywood who defied conventional standards and chose to live authentically, regardless of the controversies that might arise. Martha Raye. Celebrated for her comedic talent and dynamic stage presence, Martha was a beloved figure in the entertainment world. However, her strong personality and outspoken nature sometimes put her at odds with directors, fellow actors, and the Hollywood establishment. Raye's career spanned both film and television, where her boisterous and uninhibited style made her a favorite among audiences, but this same exuberance sometimes translated into challenging behavior on set. Raye was known for her candid opinions and did not shy away from expressing them, even if it meant clashing with those in charge. One incident that exemplified Raye's headstrong nature occurred during the filming of a television show. Known for her improvisational skills, Raye often deviated from the script, much to the chagrin of the director. During one particular taping, her ad-libbing led to a heated exchange with the director, who wanted her to stick to the written material. Raye, ever the performer, argued that her improvisations brought a genuine quality to her character, leading to a standoff that temporarily halted production. Raye's personal life was as colorful as her on-screen persona. Her multiple marriages and vibrant social life were the subject of much public interest. Her forthright demeanor in her personal affairs often mirrored her approach to her professional work, leading to a reputation for being bold and sometimes brash. Despite these challenges, Martha Raye's contributions to the entertainment industry were significant. She was a versatile performer, equally at home in comedic and dramatic roles. Her work in films like Monsieur Verdoux, 1947, and her television appearances showcased her range and ability to connect with audiences. Greer Garson. Recognized for her dignified on-screen persona and exceptional acting talent, Greer was a prominent figure in Hollywood's golden age. However, behind her poised and graceful image, Garson was known to have very particular working preferences. She preferred certain types of roles and would often be quite vocal if the direction of a film didn't align with her expectations. Garson's insistence on maintaining a certain standard in her roles stemmed from her commitment to her craft and her image as a sophisticated actress. This commitment, while admirable, sometimes led to tensions with filmmakers. Garson was not one to shy away from expressing her opinions on scripts and character development, and her suggestions were not always well received. One notable example of Garson's exacting standards occurred during the production of Mrs. Miniver, 1942, a role that won her an Academy Award. Garson was deeply involved in shaping her character, insisting on changes to the script to better reflect the strength and complexity of the character. While her input undoubtedly contributed to the film's success, it also led to a strained relationship with the director William Wyler, who was accustomed to having more control over his productions. Garson's approach to her career was also evident in her choice of roles. She often sought out parts that aligned with her image as an elegant and intelligent woman, turning down roles that she felt did not meet these criteria. This selectiveness, while ensuring she maintained a certain caliber of work, also limited the range of characters she portrayed and sometimes led to disagreements with studios over the direction of her career. Despite these challenges, Garson's contributions to cinema were significant. She delivered memorable performances in films like Goodbye, Mr. Chips, 1939, and Random Harvest, 1942. Her ability to portray strong, dignified women made her an inspiration to many and a symbol of grace and talent in Hollywood. Do you know any other interesting accounts we could cover in future videos? Let us know in the comments and check out the next video. In Hollywood, behind the bright lights and red carpets, stars were locked in a struggle unseen by their adoring fans. They were bound by slave contracts, merciless deals controlling their every move, from their screen image to their private lives. These weren't just contracts, they were shackles turning fame into a prison. Imagine, the industry that brought them stardom was the same one holding them captive. This is the untold story of stardom and hidden chains. The story of 10 Hollywood stars fighting for freedom in a world where fame can come at the ultimate price. Mick Rooney. He started his career as a child star and later became one of the most popular actors in the 1930s and 1940s. However, despite his widespread popularity, his financial situation was far from ideal due to the terms of his contract with MGM. Rooney's contract with MGM, like many contracts during the studio system era, was structured in a way that heavily favored the studio. It often included provisions that gave MGM significant control over his career, compensation, and other aspects of his professional life. While he was undoubtedly a major box office draw for the studio, Rooney struggled to secure fair compensation for his work. One of the primary issues Rooney faced was a lack of financial transparency and control over his earnings. MGM, like other studios at the time, took a substantial portion of its stars' income, leaving the actors with a fraction of the profits generated by their films. This practice, combined with the complex accounting methods employed by the studio, meant that even highly successful actors like Rooney had little control over their financial affairs. Rooney's situation was compounded by the fact that he started his career as a child actor, and his earnings during those early years were often mishandled or withheld. Despite being a major star, Rooney found himself facing financial difficulties and struggled to break free from the exploitative terms of his contract. Olivia de Havilland. Her challenge to the long-term contract system centered around the studio's tight control over actors. In the old Hollywood system, stars like de Havilland were bound to lengthy contracts that dictated every aspect of their careers. These contracts often lasted for 7 years or more and gave the studio the power to choose roles, set working conditions, and even control public appearances. De Havilland took a stand against this restrictive system. She believed the studios had too much control and that such long-term contracts limited an actor's ability to choose roles and advance in their careers. In 1943, she took her case to court and won a landmark legal victory, creating a precedent that changed the industry. The de Havilland Law, as it came to be known, stated that a studio could not extend an actor's contract beyond 7 calendar years. This legal triumph was a significant step in breaking the studio's stronghold over actors and gave performers more freedom to choose their projects and negotiate better terms. James Cagney, known for his strong-willed personality, clashed with Warner Brothers over various issues, including disagreements about the types of roles he wanted to pursue. Frustrated with the limitations imposed by his contract, he decided to take a stand. In a move that was quite bold during that era, Cagney fought to break free from his Warner Brothers contract. This struggle was not an easy one, as studios held considerable power over actors. However, Cagney's determination and legal efforts eventually led to his release from the restrictive contract. Cagney's success in breaking free from Warner Brothers contributed to the growing pushback against the studio system, highlighting the changing dynamics in Hollywood. Rita Hayworth. She encountered difficulties with her contract at Columbia Pictures, a common challenge for many actors in the classic Hollywood era. The contracts during this time were often restrictive, granting studios significant control over an actor's career, including roles, publicity, and other professional decisions. Hayworth's contract with Columbia likely dictated the roles she could take, the terms of her employment, and possibly even aspects of her personal life, such as public appearances and relationships. The specific details of her contract aren't provided, but these agreements were generally structured to favor the studios rather than the actors. After facing challenges with her contract, Hayworth's career trajectory changed, and her personal life played a role in this transformation. Her marriage to Orson Welles, a celebrated filmmaker and actor, ended. Such personal events could influence an actor's career, especially in an era when public image and personal life were carefully curated by studios. Buster Keaton, best known for his creativity and unique approach to filmmaking, found that his move to MGM limited his creative control over his films. Unlike his earlier works where he had more independence and influence, the terms of his MGM contract restricted his ability to shape the direction of his projects. The decline in creative control had such a significant impact on Keaton's artistic freedom and the unique style for which he was known. Studios during this era often tightly managed every aspect of a film, and MGM was no different. From casting to script, this shift in control affected the quality and innovation of Keaton's work, and was so stringent that there was almost nothing he could do about it. Bette Davis. She was no doubt a prominent actress in her time, but she too faced conflicts with Warner Brothers regarding her contract and the roles assigned to her. She was forced to work around the clock with little to no breaks. She wasn't allowed to complain or even do anything about the working conditions. Davis, known for her strong-willed personality and desire for diverse and challenging roles, clashed with Warner Brothers over the direction of her career. There were often disagreements about the type of roles she was assigned and all of the stress the working hours put on her, to the point where it began to affect her mental health. Joan Crawford. Crawford's difficulties with her MGM contract led to a legal battle between her and the studio. The specifics of the disagreements and legal proceedings aren't detailed here, but it's clear that Crawford sought more control over her career trajectory. As a result of the legal dispute, Joan Crawford moved to Warner Brothers. This move was likely a strategic decision to break free from the constraints of her MGM contract and gain more autonomy in choosing her roles and shaping her career. Judy Garland. She was a star under MGM's reign, grappled with the formidable constraints of her contract, enduring an exhaustive workload that adversely affected both her personal and professional life. The contractual limitations dictated her roles, public image, and even aspects of her private life, hindering her ability to make choices aligned with her desires. The relentless production schedules of the studio system demanded arduous hours of work, contributing to physical and emotional strain. Amidst the studio's control, Garland faced personal challenges that were exacerbated by the pressures imposed upon her. Her iconic role in The Wizard of Oz bore witness to the toll of this demanding environment, with the studio's practices impacting her health. Garland's experiences underscore the darker aspects of the classic Hollywood studio system, shedding light on the challenges endured by even the most talented and beloved performers. Edward G. Robinson. Robinson, a respected actor, found himself in a clash with Warner Brothers concerning his contract and compensation. Despite his esteemed status, Robinson confronted issues with the terms that Warner Brothers had set. Determined to rectify this, he took the decisive step of initiating legal action against the studio, seeking improved terms and fair compensation for his contributions. Robinson's willingness to challenge the studio's practices exemplifies the struggles many actors faced in negotiating equitable contracts during the classic Hollywood era. Veronica Lake. Although Veronica Lake is celebrated for her captivating femme fatale roles during the 1940s, experienced a tumultuous period marked by contract disputes with Paramount Pictures. As her popularity soared, conflicts with the studio began to emerge, contributing to a decline in her career. Lake's contractual disagreements with Paramount likely revolved around creative differences, contractual terms, and perhaps her desire for more control over her roles and career trajectory. The studio system of that era often placed significant constraints on actors, and clashes with the studio were not uncommon when stars sought more autonomy. These disputes and the resulting tensions between Lakey and Paramount had detrimental effects on her career. The studio's influence over casting decisions and project choices could profoundly impact an actor's opportunities and public image. Consequently, Lake's career faced setbacks and her prominence in Hollywood diminished. It's the early 1940s. Hollywood's golden age is in full bloom, a time when cinema was more than entertainment. It was a beacon of dreams in a world riddled with conflict. On the surface, Hollywood was a land of endless glamour and opportunity, but beneath this glittering facade lay hidden tales of personal struggle and emotional turmoil. Take, for instance, the premiere of Gone with the Wind in 1939, a cinematic event that captivated millions. Among the glittering stars was Vivien Leigh, an actress whose portrayal of Scarlett O'Hara would become legendary. Yet, unknown to the adoring public, Leigh was embarking on a lifelong battle with bipolar disorder, a struggle that would contrast sharply with her on-screen triumphs. Or consider the case of Frances Farmer, a rising star in the late 1930s whose career was abruptly derailed by a series of mental health challenges and legal troubles, leading to a tragic and misunderstood life. Her story, like many others from this era, was a stark reminder of the human cost of fame. These narratives, from Gene Tierney's unseen battles with mental health and personal loss to Rita Hayworth, who behind her glamorous image faced a tumultuous personal life, reveal a different side of Hollywood, a side where the bright lights of fame cast long, dark shadows of loneliness, depression, and misunderstanding. As we delve into these stories, we're not just revisiting the past glories of cinema, we're uncovering the hidden, often painful realities faced by some of its most iconic figures. This journey through Hollywood's history is not just about the stars we thought we knew, it's about revealing the untold stories that remind us that even in a world of make-believe, reality is never far away. What secrets do these stars hold, and what truths about fame and its costs can we learn from their lives? The answers lie in the untold, deeply human stories of Hollywood's most enigmatic figures. The enigmatic Vivien Leigh. Her portrayal of Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind immortalized her in the pantheon of cinematic legends. Yet the story of Vivien Leigh is not just one of accolades and applause. It's a tale woven with threads of brilliance and despair, a narrative that reveals the stark contrast between her public persona and private life. Born in British India in 1913, Vivien's journey to stardom was marked by determination and an unwavering passion for acting. Her ascent to fame was meteoric, fueled by a combination of talent, beauty, and an indomitable spirit. However, beneath the surface of this success lay a tumultuous personal life, marred by struggles that remained largely hidden from the public eye. Leigh's life was a constant battle with mental health issues, a struggle that was little understood and often stigmatized during her time. She was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, known at the time as manic depression, a condition that led to extreme mood swings and erratic behavior. These episodes often occurred at critical moments in her career, impacting her professional relationships and her ability to work. Her marriage to Laurence Olivier, while a union of two of the greatest acting talents, was fraught with challenges. The couple's passionate relationship was often in the public eye, but what remained unseen was how Leahy's mental health struggles put a strain on their marriage. Her condition, coupled with Olivier's rising career, created a complex dynamic that was both passionate and tumultuous. Despite her personal challenges, Vivien Leigh's professional achievements were undeniable. She won 2 Academy Awards for Best Actress, a testament to her extraordinary talent. However, her career was also marked by periods of inactivity, partly due to her health issues. Her struggle with tuberculosis, which eventually led to her untimely death at the age of 53, added another layer of tragedy to her life. Vivien Leigh's story is not just a tale of a Hollywood icon, it's a poignant reminder of the human behind the star. Her life challenges the glamorous image often associated with movie stars, revealing a reality marked by personal battles and resilience. Leigh's legacy is not only in her unforgettable performances, but also in her enduring spirit in the face of adversity. Frances Farmer's tragic tale. This Hollywood story is one of the most poignant and tragic. Her career, filled with promise and potential, was overshadowed by a series of personal and legal troubles that would ultimately define her legacy more than her cinematic achievements. Born in 1913, the same year as Vivien Leigh, Frances Farmer's rise in Hollywood during the 1930s and 1940s was marked by her striking beauty and formidable acting talent. She quickly gained attention for her performances in films like Come and Get It and Rhythm on the Range. However, Farmer's outspoken nature and nonconformist attitudes, rare in Hollywood at the time, often put her at odds with studio executives and the media. The turning point in Farmer's life came with her increasing emotional and psychological struggles. Her behavior became erratic, and she had several run-ins with the law, leading to sensationalized headlines. The most heartbreaking chapter of her life began with her involuntary commitment to psychiatric institutions. During these periods, she underwent various treatments, including electroconvulsive therapy, which were standard practices at the time but are now considered controversial. The narrative of Frances Farmer is often overshadowed by myths and exaggerations, particularly regarding her mental health and the treatments she received. Her story has been the subject of numerous books and films, some of which have contributed to the sensationalism surrounding her life. However, beneath these sensationalized accounts lies the story of a woman whose bright future in Hollywood was derailed by a combination of personal demons, a misunderstanding of mental health, and a society unprepared to handle such issues with sensitivity and understanding. Farmer's career never fully recovered from these challenges, and she spent much of her later life away from the spotlight. Her story is a stark reminder of the fragility of fame and the human cost of untreated mental health issues. Frances Farmer's legacy in Hollywood is not just as an actress, but as a symbol of the often tragic intersection of fame, mental health, and the unforgiving nature of public scrutiny. Gene Tierney's Unseen Battles. In the golden era of Hollywood, Gene Tierney's presence on the silver screen was synonymous with elegance and grace. Yet, behind the captivating performances and the stunning visage that graced countless movie posters, Tierney was waging a personal battle far removed from the public eye. Her journey in Hollywood began with promise and success. Tierney quickly rose to fame with her striking looks and talent, starring in classics like Laura and Leave Her to Heaven. Her performance in the latter earned her an Academy Award nomination, cementing her status as a leading lady of her time. However, Tierney's life was marked by a series of personal tragedies and health issues that profoundly affected her. One of the most heart-wrenching episodes was the birth of her daughter, who was born deaf and with severe mental disabilities, a consequence of Tierney contracting rubella during her pregnancy. This event took a significant toll on Tierney, leading to periods of depression. Tierney's struggles with mental health were compounded by the pressures of Hollywood fame. She faced a series of emotional challenges, including turbulent relationships and the stress of maintaining her public image. Her mental health issues eventually led to a hiatus from acting, during which she received treatment, including electroconvulsive therapy. Despite these challenges, Tierney made a comeback in the 1950s, though she never regained the same level of stardom. Her later years were quieter, marked by a retreat from the public eye and a focus on her personal life and health. The story of Gene Tierney is a poignant reminder of the hidden struggles that often lie behind a facade of celebrity. Her life challenges the often glamorized image of Hollywood stars, revealing a narrative filled with personal hardship, resilience, and the pursuit of peace away from the limelight. Rita Hayworth, Glamour and Pain. The image of Rita Hayworth flipping her hair in Gilda has become an iconic symbol of Hollywood glamour. However, the life of Margarita Carmen Cancino, known to the world as Rita Hayworth, was a complex tapestry of dazzling highs and profound lows, reflecting a stark contrast between her public persona and private struggles. Hayworth's rise to fame was meteoric. Known for her sensational dance skills and captivating beauty, she quickly became one of the era's most beloved stars. Her performances in films like The Lady from Shanghai and Gilda solidified her status as a Hollywood icon, but the spotlight that shone so brightly on her professional life cast deep shadows on her personal world. Behind the scenes, Hayworth's life was marked by tumultuous relationships, including 5 marriages, most notably to Orson Welles and Prince Ali Khan. These relationships, often played out in the public eye, brought their own set of challenges and heartaches. However, it was her struggle with Alzheimer's disease, a diagnosis that came later in her life, that perhaps marked the most challenging battle she faced. Hayworth's decline due to Alzheimer's, at a time when there was little understanding of the disease, was heartbreaking. Her condition was initially misunderstood as alcoholism, a misconception that added to the challenges she faced. The latter years of her life were a far cry from the glitz and glamour of her Hollywood days as she became more reclusive, grappling with a disease that slowly took away the memories of her illustrious career. Hayworth's later years were a stark contrast to the vibrant energy she once radiated on screen. As Alzheimer's disease progressed, it gradually dimmed the memory of her once luminous career. The public, largely unaware of the nature of her illness, witnessed a beloved icon's retreat from the limelight, a retreat marked by confusion and misunderstanding. This period of her life, less documented and understood, stands as a silent chapter in the story of one of Hollywood's most celebrated figures. Montgomery Clift, a tormented genius. Often hailed as one of the original method actors in Hollywood, Montgomery brought an intensity and vulnerability to his roles that was unmatched in his time. His performances in films like A Place in the Sun and From Here to Eternity showcased a depth and sensitivity that set him apart from his contemporaries. However, the same sensitivity that made him a star also made him profoundly susceptible to the pressures of fame and the personal demons that haunted him. Born in 1920, Clift's upbringing was marked by a nomadic lifestyle, with his family frequently moving across Europe and the United States. This transient childhood, while enriching in many ways, also instilled in him a sense of detachment and loneliness, themes that would recur throughout his life and career. Clift's early foray into theater acting laid the foundation for his future success in Hollywood, where he quickly established himself as a leading man with a unique, introspective approach to his craft. Clift's career, however, was dramatically altered by a devastating car accident in 1956. The accident left his face partially paralyzed and marked a turning point in his life and career. He became increasingly dependent on alcohol and prescription drugs, a dependency that exacerbated his existing struggles with mental health. The accident not only changed his physical appearance, but also seemed to deepen the emotional turmoil he expressed in his performances. Despite his personal struggles, Clift continued to deliver powerful performances. His roles in post-accident films like Judgment at Nuremberg and The Misfits were testament to his enduring talent and his ability to channel his personal pain into his art. However, the toll of his accident, compounded by the pressures of his career and his unresolved personal issues, led to a gradual decline in his health. Clift's relationships, both romantic and platonic, were complex and often fraught with challenges. He was known for his close friendships with several of his co-stars, including Elizabeth Taylor, who became a lifelong friend and supporter. His romantic life, kept private and away from the public eye, was a source of speculation and intrigue. Clift, a deeply private individual, struggled with the invasive nature of fame and the often unforgiving scrutiny of the Hollywood spotlight. The final years of Clift's life were marked by a retreat from the public eye and a continuing battle with health issues. His death in 1966 at the age of 45 was a tragic end to a life and career that had shown such promise and brilliance. Barbara Payton's downfall. Her story in Hollywood is a cautionary tale of meteoric rise and precipitous fall, a narrative that starkly contrasts the initial promise of her career with its tragic end. Payton, who burst onto the Hollywood scene in the late 1940s, possessed the looks and talent that seemed to destine her for stardom. However, her life quickly spiraled into a series of personal crises and public scandals that overshadowed her professional achievements. Born in 1927 in Minnesota, Payton moved to Los Angeles in her early 20s. Her striking blonde beauty and charisma quickly caught the attention of film executives, leading to roles in films like Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye and Trapped. Her performance in these films showcased not just her physical allure, but a genuine acting talent. However, despite her promising start, Payton's career was soon derailed by a tumultuous personal life. Payton's life off-screen became fodder for the tabloids, marked by high-profile romances, including a tumultuous relationship with actor Tom Neal and her marriage to Franchot Tone, which was marred by violence and public altercations. These personal issues began to affect her professional life, leading to a decline in the quality and quantity of her roles. As her career faltered, Payton's personal struggles deepened. She battled with alcoholism and financial difficulties, which led to a series of arrests and public incidents that further tarnished her reputation. The film industry, which had once welcomed her, now turned its back, leaving her to grapple with her demons largely alone. The latter part of Payton's life was a far cry from her Hollywood beginnings. She faced poverty, struggled with addiction, and was largely forgotten by an industry that had once celebrated her. Her death in 1967 at the age of 39 was a tragic end to a life that had once held so much potential. Barbara Payton's story is a stark reminder of the ephemeral nature of fame and the destructive power of personal demons in the unforgiving world of Hollywood. Her journey from starlet to forgotten figure highlights the precarious balance between public image and personal reality in the life of a celebrity. Payton's life, marked by brief success and prolonged struggle, serves as a poignant example of the often harsh realities that lie behind the glamour of the silver screen. The complex life of Errol Flynn. His name is synonymous with the swashbuckling heroes he portrayed on screen, a symbol of charisma, adventure, and romantic allure in Hollywood's golden age. However, Flynn's off-screen life was as complex and tumultuous as any plot in his films, marked by scandal, legal battles, and a lifestyle that both fascinated and shocked the public. Born in Tasmania in 1909, Flynn's early life was as adventurous as his film roles. He was known for his wanderlust, traveling to various parts of the world, including New Guinea, where he sought fortune and adventure. This restless spirit eventually led him to Hollywood, where he quickly rose to fame after his breakthrough role in Captain Blood, 1935. His portrayal of dashing and daring characters in films like The Adventures of Robin Hood, 1938, made him one of the most popular and highest-paid actors of his time. Flynn's public persona as a charming rogue was mirrored in his personal life. He was famous for his romantic escapades, marrying 3 times and being linked to numerous actresses and socialites. His lifestyle was characterized by lavish parties, excessive drinking, and a general disdain for convention. This behavior, while initially adding to his allure, eventually began to tarnish his image as the darker aspects of his life came to light. One of the most significant and damaging episodes in Flynn's life was the 1943 trial, where he was accused of statutory rape. Although he was acquitted, the trial was a media sensation, and the allegations left a lasting stain on his reputation. The phrase "in like Flynn" became synonymous with sexual conquest, further cementing his image as a womanizer, an image that Flynn himself seemed to embrace publicly, despite the personal and professional costs. Flynn's health began to deteriorate in the 1950s, exacerbated by years of heavy drinking and drug use. His once matinee idol looks faded, and his performances suffered, leading to fewer and less prestigious roles. Despite his declining health, Flynn continued to live a life marked by excess and controversy, including a much-publicized relationship with Beverly Adland, a teenager in his final years. Errol Flynn's death in 1959 at the age of 50 was seen by many as a tragic end to a life that had burned too brightly. His autobiography, My Wicked, Wicked Ways, published posthumously, offered a candid look at his life and career, filled with anecdotes that confirmed many of the rumors about his lifestyle. Veronica Lake's lost sparkle. With her trademark peekaboo hairstyle and sultry on-screen presence, Veronica Lake became an iconic figure of 1940s Hollywood. However, behind the glamorous image and successful career, Lake's life was a journey marked by dramatic rises and falls, reflecting the often harsh realities of stardom. Born as Constance Frances Marie Aukelman in 1922, Lake's early life was unsettled, with frequent moves and a troubled family background. Her entry into Hollywood was almost as if by fate, a combination of her striking looks and a chance encounter with a film producer. She quickly gained attention for her roles in films like I Wanted Wings and Sullivan's Travels, where her distinctive hairstyle and alluring screen presence made her an instant star. Lake's most successful period came in the early 1940s with a series of film noir roles alongside Alan Ladd. Their on-screen chemistry in movies like This Gun for Hire and The Blue Dahlia was electric, making them one of the era's most popular screen pairs. However, as quickly as her star rose, it began to fade, impacted by a series of personal and professional challenges. One of the first signs of trouble was Lake's reputation for being difficult on set. Her unpredictable behavior and clashes with directors and co-stars became increasingly problematic. This difficult reputation, whether deserved or exaggerated, began to impact her career opportunities. Lake's personal life was equally tumultuous. She was married 4 times, with each marriage ending in divorce. Her struggles with mental health and alcoholism became more pronounced as her career waned. By the 1950s, Lake's star had significantly dimmed. She made sporadic appearances in films and television, but the glory of her early career seemed a distant memory. The most poignant aspect of Lake's story is her fall into obscurity and financial hardship in the 1960s. Once a glamorous Hollywood icon, she was found working as a waitress in New York, a startling and saddening revelation to her fans. This period of her life was marked by struggles with poverty, mental health issues, and continued battles with alcoholism. Lake attempted a comeback in the late 1960s and early 1970s, but her health issues and the changing landscape of Hollywood made it difficult for her to regain her former status. Her death in 1973, at the age of 50, was a quiet end to a life that had once been the subject of intense public fascination. In a time when society believed that a woman's place was in the kitchen, a caliber of women arose and decided they were going to break down barriers and chase their dreams, consequences be damned. Some of these women went on to become renowned writers, actresses, and even directors in the golden age of Hollywood. Back then, the film industry was male-dominated, but somehow, these women were not only able to rise to the top of the industry, but also opened the door for other women to thrive. From the daring Mae West to the fearless Katharine Hepburn, these are some of the women who broke barriers in the golden age of Hollywood. Mary Pickford. In the early 1900s, Mary Pickford, born Gladys Louise Smith, was just a young girl from Canada, but one thing was certain: she was destined for greatness. Despite her sweet and innocent appearance with those trademark ringlets, there was more to her than met the eye. When she entered Hollywood, she made moves that were typically synonymous with men at the time. Mary Pickford was a multi-talented woman, and her exploits in Hollywood proved to everyone that she was a genius. Mary wasn't just a movie star, she was the movie star. Back in the early days of American cinema, she skyrocketed to fame, becoming the most popular and influential actress of her time. From obscurity to stardom, she made it look easy, and thousands of fans couldn't get enough of her. Mary Pickford wasn't content with just being a pretty face on the silver screen. She had her eyes set on shaping the very industry that had embraced her. Among her many accomplishments, she was applauded for her exploits as the founder of United Artists. She was one of the masterminds behind this game-changing studio that allowed artists to have more control over their work. But Mary was more than just a brilliant actress and a savvy businesswoman. She was a sharp producer, too. She wasn't afraid to roll up her sleeves and get things done behind the scenes. Her talent and drive weren't just admirable for a woman of her time, they were remarkable. She is remembered today for her famous works like Little Lord Fauntleroy, which showcased her versatility, and Pollyanna, which solidified her status as America's sweetheart. And let's not forget Coquette, a role that won her the first ever Academy Award for Best Actress. Mary Pickford certainly left a mark in the industry and showed other women that it is possible to thrive in a male-dominated industry. Alice Guy. In a time when movies were still finding their feet and the flickering silver screen was a realm dominated by men in bowler hats and handlebar mustaches, there emerged a woman who would forever change the course of Hollywood history. Her name was Alice Guy, the world's first woman filmmaker, a true pioneer who danced to the beat of her celluloid dreams. Alice Guy didn't just tiptoe into the movie business, she waltzed in and seized control. Back in the late 19th century, she held the reins of production at Gaumont in France. In an era when women were usually confined to playing supporting roles, Alice took center stage, directing her own destiny. With a spirit as adventurous as her storytelling, she packed her bags and sailed across the Atlantic to the land of stars and stripes, where she boldly planted her flag on the cinematic frontier. And this was years before women could cast their votes in either country. One of the things that set Alice Guy apart from the rest is her sheer prolificacy. Like a whirlwind of creativity, she directed hundreds of films during a time when the concept of feature-length movies was but a glimmer in someone's eye. She was at the helm from 1896 to 1916, essentially from the very birth of cinema itself. While her contemporaries were content with rudimentary acting on screen, Alice had a vision. She insisted on an acting style tailored specifically for the silver screen. Her actors didn't just recite lines. They emoted. They connected with the audience through the lens. It was a revelation, and it laid the foundation for the emotive powerhouse that modern cinema would become. But Alice's innovation didn't stop there. She was known for seamlessly integrating special effects into narrative storytelling, giving birth to what we now call trick films. Her creativity knew no bounds, and she had a knack for using close-up shots to elicit maximum emotional impact from her audience. Dorothy Arzner. She once said, "My philosophy is that to be a director, you cannot be subject to anyone, even the head of the studio." This statement proves that she was indeed a leader and a creative who was not afraid to do things her way. Dorothy Dandridge initially pursued a career in medicine but soon found her true calling in the nascent world of cinema. She began her Hollywood career as a stenographer at the famous Players Lasky Corporation, where her exceptional skills and ambition caught the attention of director William DeMille. DeMille mentored her, and she swiftly climbed the ranks, working as a writer, editor, and eventually a director. Anyone who came across her could tell that she was laser-focused on her career and didn't let anyone stop her from achieving all that she wanted to achieve. After investing years into her career, her groundbreaking moment came when she directed Clara Bow in The Wild Party in 1929, marking Bow's transition to sound films. This film showed Arzner's unique vision and ability to capture the essence of complex female characters. Her work with Katharine Hepburn in Christopher Strong and Joan Crawford in The Bride Wore Red further solidified her reputation as a director who understood and celebrated the strength and complexity of women. In a Hollywood industry known for its conformity, Arzner was a rebel. She refused to compromise her creative vision and insisted on directing films her way, a trait that set her apart from many of her contemporaries. As the only woman director working at a major Hollywood studio in the 1930s, she faced numerous challenges and prejudices, but her determination remained unshaken. Dorothy Arzner was the very image of resilience and innovation. She not only proved that women could excel in male-dominated industries, but also shattered glass ceilings for female directors in Hollywood. Katharine Hepburn. Whenever the name Katharine Hepburn is mentioned, people instantly remember a fearless, determined, and talented woman, an unyielding force of nature that Hollywood had never seen before. With a unique blend of fearlessness and grace, she graced screens as a leading woman in films like The Philadelphia Story. In this film, Hepburn took on the role of Tracy Lord, a character as sharp-witted as she was sophisticated. Tracy was a woman of privilege, whose impending marriage led to a series of comedic and introspective events. Through her role, she showed viewers that she was capable of effortlessly balancing humor and vulnerability. She also appeared in The Lion in Winter, where she tackled the formidable role of Eleanor of Aquitaine, a historical character known for her intelligence and political acumen. Set against the backdrop of a tumultuous royal family gathering, the film provided a stage for Hepburn's powerful performance. All through her career, she stood as a beacon of empowerment, showing women across the globe that they could be anything they aspired to be. In an era where women were often relegated to stereotypical roles, she shattered those confines with finesse. She carved her own path through a jungle of conventions, choosing roles with purpose and challenging societal norms. She wasn't just an actress, she was an advocate for her rights in an industry notorious for exploitation. Her legacy extends beyond her filmography. She earned the title of the American Film Academy's #1 female screen legend of the classic Hollywood era, a testament to her enduring impact. She was a modern woman of her time, an emblem of strength, resilience, and excellence. Katharine didn't just act, she redefined an industry and showed the world that indeed nothing was out of reach for women who dared to dream. Mae West. If there was any woman who was unapologetic about sensuality, it was Mae West, and she was determined to create a world where women were unashamed of expressing themselves freely, even if it landed her in jail. As a Hollywood actress and playwright, West's plays were so daring and risque that they landed her in hot water. In 1927, she was arrested and brought to trial for indecency due to her play titled Sex. Now, most people might have backed down, but not Mae West. She was as stubborn as they come, refusing to back down regardless of the legal situation. She knew her ideas were brilliant, and she was determined to see them through. One of the best ways to describe her is as a sultry siren draped in silk, a cigarette dangling from her lips, and a sly smile that could melt icebergs. She wasn't just a star, she was a sensation. Mae understood that sensuality was her secret weapon, and she wielded it like a pro. In an era of prudishness, she pushed boundaries with her seductive wit and provocative one-liners. Her subversive charm was a breath of fresh air in the stuffy Hollywood of her time. Critics might have gasped, but audiences adored her audacity. She wasn't just an actress, she was a cultural icon. Mae West's love affair with sensuality wasn't just a personal indulgence, it was her career rocket fuel. She penned her scripts, ensuring she had the juiciest lines, and she flaunted her hourglass figure in form-fitting gowns, daring censors to blink. Hollywood may have tried to tame her, but Mae's fiery spirit couldn't be extinguished. She wowed her fans with some of her most famous works like I'm No Angel and She Done Him Wrong. What made her stand out in her time was her magnetic charisma, her fearless embrace of her own sexuality, and her sharp wit. She wrote her own fantastically quotable dialogue, and some of her most famous lines are still celebrated today. She once said, "When I'm good, I'm very good, but when I'm bad, I'm better." Now, that's the kind of sass and charm that made Mae West an unforgettable Hollywood icon. She didn't just break the mold, she shattered it, leaving a legacy that's as fierce and fabulous as the lady herself. Bette Davis. With a cigarette in one hand and a fierceness that couldn't be doused, Bette Davis was on a mission to make a name for herself, and no one could stop her. She was like a freight train when it came to chasing her dreams. She kicked off her career as a Broadway actress, but she didn't stop there. She packed her bags and headed west to Hollywood in search of feature-length roles. During her early years in Hollywood, people could see that she wasn't your typical Hollywood beauty. She knew her talent was her ticket to stardom. Davis didn't bow to societal pressures or conventional standards of beauty. She simply let her acting prowess do the talking. She fearlessly took on roles that would make most actors hesitate. She played strong, independent women and characters with moral shades of gray. She didn't shy away from controversial stories. She embraced them. Her role in All About Eve, where she portrayed Margot Channing, an aging Broadway star whose career was slowly fading, is one of the roles that she is remembered for. She won several awards during her career, including her second Academy Award for her role as Julie Marsden, a headstrong Southern belle whose actions create scandal and intrigue. All through her lifetime, one of the things that people liked about her was her authenticity. She was never afraid to transform herself completely for a role, diving headfirst into the character's psyche. No pretense, just pure, unfiltered emotion. Her work ethic was legendary. Bette Davis demanded excellence from herself and everyone around her. She pushed the boundaries of her craft and inspired others to do the same. It is safe to say that she paved the way for generations of women. Ava Gardner. One look at Ava Gardner and her beauty would knock you off your feet. But beyond her looks, Ava Gardner possessed an acting talent that made her irresistible. Born on the 24th of December, 1922, Ava Gardner spent most of her early years in Grabtown, North Carolina. Her roots were firmly planted in rural soil, far from the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. Growing up, she wanted to be an actress, but when she got into Hollywood, she didn't get reasonable roles. In fact, during the early 1940s, she was just another face in the crowd of Hollywood hopefuls, with small roles that appeared more numerous than significant. A few years later, she began to gain more recognition, and her breakthrough came in 1946 when she starred in The Killers. It wasn't just her striking beauty that captured hearts, but also her raw talent and magnetic presence on screen. From that moment, there was no stopping her. One of her most notable performances came in the 1951 adaptation of Showboat, a timeless classic that had seen two previous incarnations since 1929. Ava Gardner's name was like a beacon, drawing audiences to theaters, and it catapulted the film to become the third highest-grossing movie of the year, raking in over $7 million at the box office. She had a unique ability to infuse herself into different characters, and she was unafraid to take on complex roles, tackling both drama and comedy with equal grace. In an era where stereotypes often ruled, Ava Gardner stood out. She was a strong, independent woman on and off the screen. Through her works, she inspired countless women to go after their dreams. Ida Lupino. She was the definition of beauty, brains, and artistic ambition. She was an unassuming woman who was constantly doing exploits behind and in front of the camera. Like many Hollywood stars, she hailed from a family deeply immersed in the entertainment industry, with her father being a renowned stage comedian and her mother an actress. So you could say that the showbiz bug was in her blood from the get-go. Ida made her acting debut at the tender age of 13 in a British film titled Her First Affair in 1932, but she didn't stay on her home turf for long. Hollywood beckoned, and in 1933, at the age of 15, she set sail for the land of dreams. Her first Hollywood film was The Devil's in Love, which wasn't a massive hit but certainly got her foot in the door. It didn't take long for her talent and charisma to catch the eye of studio executives, and she began to land more prominent roles. In her early years, Lupino was groomed as a potential replacement for none other than Bette Davis at Warner Brothers. She had that special something, a wounded, soulful toughness that set her apart, even in the most forgettable films. Ida Lupino wasn't content with just being a leading lady on the silver screen. She had bigger dreams. She soaked up the fine art of direction by watching the likes of Raoul Walsh and William Wellman. Ida would later do what few dared to do at the time. She formed her own independent production company. This was a game changer. With that, Lupino opened the door to a whole new world of creativity and control. When it came to creativity, Ida Lupino wasn't interested in playing it safe. She chose controversial, socially conscious issues as the themes of her movies. She chose topics like rape, bigamy, polio, and unwed motherhood. These were groundbreaking subjects that challenged the norms of the day. Her works were loved and applauded by many, and it was clear that Ida made a conscious decision to live a life worth emulating. She passed away several decades ago, but several women are inspired by her story to date. Lois Weber. To Lois Weber, filmmaking was not just another job, it was an opportunity for her to give a voice to the voiceless and addressing issues that were not talked about in her time. She wasn't just a filmmaker of great skill, she was a bona fide auteur, a pioneer in every sense of the word. One of her most celebrated films was The Blot, a searing exploration of class disparities and the challenges faced by educators. It was a hit at the box office and cemented her reputation as a filmmaker who could tackle weighty subjects with grace and insight. She also directed Where Are My Children?, a groundbreaking film that dared to address the controversial topic of birth control way before it was considered acceptable in polite society. Lois had this incredible knack for taking on the most pressing social issues of her time, and interestingly, many of these issues are still haunting us today. Class tensions, she tackled that. Religious hypocrisy, she went there. And let's not forget about the struggles of women in poverty. Lois was on the front lines, bringing these stories to life. Lois Weber had a unique and incredible storytelling style. She had this incredible ability to infuse her films with allegorical elements, making her narratives resonate on a deeper, thought-provoking level. Lois Weber's story and works shows the power of film to shine a light on society's darkest corners. Dorothy Dandridge. She may have come from a family of performers, but Dorothy Dandridge didn't have a golden ticket. She had to carve her own path. When she was ready to embark on her journey in Hollywood, there was a major barrier in front of her, one that was born as a result of the color of her skin. In the early 1920s, she was born into a family of performers. Her mother, Ruby Dandridge, was an actress, and her sister, Vivien Dandridge, also pursued a career in entertainment. In the 1930s, when she was just a child, Dorothy and her family moved to Los Angeles, where she grew up in the heart of the budding film industry. As a teenager, she and her sister formed a singing and dancing duo called the Wonder Children, performing in venues around the city. Shortly after, life presented her with a platform where talent met opportunity. In the 1930s and 40s, Hollywood was still a segregated place, but there were opportunities for black performers in entertainment venues known as black nightclubs. Dorothy's talent caught the eye of talent scouts, and she began performing at these clubs. Her unique beauty and mesmerizing voice made her a rising star in the black entertainment circuit. But breaking into mainstream Hollywood was a different beast. The film industry was predominantly white, and racial barriers were high. Despite facing racial discrimination and limited roles for black actors, Dorothy Dandridge was determined to make her mark. In the 1940s, she started getting small roles in Hollywood films, often cast as a singer or dancer. These early roles might have been modest, but they were stepping stones. Slowly but surely, she gained recognition for her talent and versatility and her unique approach to acting. The turning point was her iconic role in Carmen Jones in 1954. It wasn't just a role, it was a statement. Carmen Jones. This movie wasn't just a stepping stone, it was a rocket launch for Dandridge's career. In 1954, she stepped into the shoes of Carmen Jones, a role that would make history. Carmen Jones featured an all-black cast, a rarity in those times. The film performed so well that it raked in over $10 million at the box office, proving that talent knows no color lines. Interestingly, Dandridge's performance in Carmen Jones didn't just make her a star, it made her the first African-American woman to snag a nomination for Best Actress. This groundbreaking move that paved the way for so many talented women to follow in her footsteps. But Dorothy didn't stop at movies. She had a voice that could move mountains and captivate audiences. A year after her big movie breakthrough, she graced the Empire Room in the heart of New York City, and she was the first black performer to do so. Unlike many female entertainers in her time, Dorothy Dandridge didn't rely on her beauty. She relied on her skills, her hard work, and her sheer determination. She showed the world that success in Hollywood didn't have to come in a one-size-fits-all package. Her legacy continues to echo, and her story serves as an inspiration for all aspiring talents out there. At a time when the spotlight was often reserved for a select few, she barged right in and commanded that spotlight with her incredible talent. She will forever be remembered as an actress who swung the doors of fame wide open for people of color. The Golden Age was truly an interesting time in the history of Hollywood. Not only did it produce some of the most groundbreaking women in Hollywood, there were also several Hollywood stars who were allegedly working as spies during World War II. Could Marlene Dietrich's captivating eyes have been windows to a life filled with secrets and danger? Was the iconic actress not just stealing scenes, but also stealing classified information? As rumors swirled like a tempest, Marlene's life teetered on the edge of a precipice, her legacy at risk of being forever tarnished. But what if these whispers were more than just idle gossip? What if they were the echoes of covert operations so secretive they could alter the course of history? Hold on to your seats, because Marlene is just the tip of the iceberg. Hollywood's glittering facade has long concealed a labyrinth of secrets, and some of its brightest stars may have been embroiled in espionage, their double lives as thrilling as any blockbuster. In today's pulse-pounding video, we're peeling back layers of intrigue to reveal the Hollywood icons who might have been living on the edge, risking it all in a high-stakes game of espionage. From heart-stopping missions behind enemy lines to desperate alliances shrouded in mystery, we're unearthing stories so electrifying they've been hidden for decades. Prepare for a whirlwind journey that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about Hollywood's golden age. This is one cinematic experience you'll never forget. The era of espionage in Hollywood. The glitz and glamour of Hollywood in the 1940s and 50s were a facade, a glittering mask that hid a world teeming with secrets and lies. The United States was embroiled in World War II and later the Cold War, casting long shadows over the land of dreams. Hollywood was not just a place of make-believe. It was a strategic asset, a propaganda machine, and a hotbed for political and ideological battles. The U.S. government saw the film industry as a powerful tool for shaping public opinion. The Office of War Information worked closely with studios to produce films that would boost morale and promote the American way of life, but where there was power, there was also the potential for subversion. The fear of communist infiltration was palpable. The House Un-American Activities Committee turned its gaze toward Hollywood, leading to the infamous blacklist that ruined careers and lives. In this atmosphere of heightened tension and paranoia, the line between actor and spy began to blur. The government recruited from Hollywood's ranks, seeking individuals who could move seamlessly between different roles both on and off the screen. These stars had access to high-profile events and influential people, making them ideal candidates for gathering intelligence. It was a time when anyone could be a spy and everyone was under suspicion. The stakes were high and the penalties for failure were even higher. In this world of smoke and mirrors, some of Hollywood's brightest stars would risk it all, embarking on clandestine missions that would take them far from the safety of the spotlight. But was Cary Grant alone? The next star's story is even more intriguing. Cary Grant, the British charmer. Born Archibald Alec Leach in Bristol, England in 1904, was the epitome of Hollywood charm and sophistication. With his suave demeanor and impeccable style, he captured the hearts of audiences worldwide. But behind that debonair smile lay a man of complexity, a man whose life was as intriguing off-screen as it was on. Grant's journey to Hollywood stardom was anything but ordinary. He ran away from home at the age of 14 to join a vaudeville troupe. honing his skills as a performer before making his way to the United States. By the late 1930s, he had become one of Hollywood's leading men, starring in classics like Bringin' Up Baby and His Girl Friday. His fame afforded him access to the upper echelons of society, a privilege that did not go unnoticed by those in power. As World War II raged on, the lines between entertainment and politics became increasingly blurred. Cary Grant, a British citizen who had yet to become an American, found himself in a unique position. His international status and connections made him an attractive asset for intelligence agencies. In 1941, the British Security Coordination, a secret arm of the British intelligence operating in New York, approached Grant for a mission that would take him far from the Hollywood Hills. The operation was shrouded in secrecy, but it involved using Grant's celebrity status to gain access to high-profile events where he could gather information on Axis sympathizers in the United States. Grant was trained in the art of espionage. Learning how to intercept communications and how to operate in the shadows, he was given a new identity, complete with a fabricated background and false documents. His mission was so confidential that even his closest confidants were kept in the dark. For years, Grant balanced his life as a Hollywood star and a covert operative, attending glamorous parties by night and engaging in secret missions by day. He was said to have been involved in Operation Mincemeat, a deceptive strategy that used misinformation to mislead Nazi Germany about the invasion of Southern Europe. While the full extent of his involvement remains classified, declassified documents have hinted at his contributions to the war effort, which went far beyond his roles on the silver screen. But as the war came to an end, so did Grant's covert operations. He returned to Hollywood, resuming his career as if nothing had happened. Yet those who knew him said he was a changed man, haunted by the secrets he had carried and the lives he had touched. He became increasingly reclusive, shunning the spotlight he had once embraced. But was Cary Grant alone in this high-stakes game of espionage and intrigue? Far from it. The next Star's story is even more captivating, a tale that takes us from the glitz and glamour of Hollywood to the dark and dangerous world of international espionage. Marlene Dietrich, the German enigma. Born Marie Magdalena Dietrich in Berlin, Germany in 1901, was a woman of enigma and allure. Her smoky voice and magnetic screen presence made her an international sensation, but it was her off-screen activities that would add an indelible layer of intrigue to her legacy. Dietrich's rise to stardom was meteoric. She caught the eye of director Josef von Sternberg, who cast her in The Blue Angel, a film that would catapult her to international fame. Hollywood soon beckoned, and Dietrich answered the call, leaving her native Germany for the promise of American stardom. But as she ascended the ladder of success, the world around her was descending into chaos. The rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi regime cast a dark shadow over Europe, and Dietrich, a staunch anti-Nazi, found herself torn between her homeland and her new life in America. It was during this tumultuous period that Dietrich was approached by the Office of Strategic Services, the precursor to the CIA. Her mission, should she choose to accept it, was to use her celebrity status and connections to gather intelligence on Nazi activities. Dietrich didn't hesitate. She saw it as her moral duty to fight against the regime that was tearing her homeland apart. Trained in espionage techniques, including cryptography and psychological warfare, Dietrich was more than just a pretty face. She was a highly skilled operative. She embarked on a series of covert missions, often traveling under the guise of USO performances for troops. Her close relationship with General George Patton gave her unprecedented access to military strategies and plans, information she passed on to Allied forces. But Dietrich's most daring mission came in 1944, during the liberation of Paris. Posing as a German nurse, she infiltrated a POW camp to gather information on German troop movements. The intelligence she collected was invaluable, aiding in the successful liberation of the city. For her bravery, she was awarded the Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian honor in the United States. Yet, despite her heroic efforts, Dietrich's activities were not without controversy. Rumors swirled about her relationships with both men and women, including high-ranking military officials and fellow spies. These liaisons raised eyebrows, leading some to question the nature of her involvement in espionage activities. Was she a patriot, or was she using her missions as a cover for more personal endeavors? As the war ended and the Cold War began, Dietrich found herself once again at the intersection of fame and infamy. She continued to act, but the roles she took on were tinged with a sense of melancholy, as if reflecting the complex, multifaceted life she had led. If you thought Marlene Dietrich's story was captivating, wait until you hear about our next star, a woman whose life was a tapestry of art, activism, and espionage. Her story is one that defies belief. Josephine Baker, the French Connection. She was born Freda Josephine MacDonald in St. Louis, Missouri in 1906. She rose from the depths of poverty to become one of the most iconic entertainers of the 20th century. Known for her electrifying performances and her signature banana skirt, Baker was a sensation in Paris, far away from the racial segregation and discrimination she faced in her home country. But beneath the sequins and the spotlight was a woman of extraordinary courage, a woman who would become an unsung hero in the fight against tyranny. Baker's journey to espionage began in the dark days leading up to World War II. She had made France her home, and when the country she loved was threatened by Nazi occupation, she knew she had to act. Baker was recruited by the French Resistance, a clandestine organization fighting against Nazi rule. Her fame and her frequent travels provided the perfect cover for her activities as a spy. Her missions were fraught with danger but vital for the resistance. She smuggled secret messages and photographs across borders, hiding them in her sheet music or even sewn into her dresses. She gathered intelligence from high-ranking Japanese officials and Axis officers, often during her performances or at social events where she was the star attraction. Her Café Society connections were a treasure trove of information, and she exploited them to the fullest. But perhaps her most audacious act came in 1941 when she was enlisted for Operation Zeppelin, a mission to gather information on Italian air bases in North Africa. Posing as a journalist, Baker used her charm and wit to gain access to restricted areas, collecting data that was crucial for Allied forces. The intelligence she gathered was used in planning the North African campaign, a turning point in the war. For her bravery, Baker received several honors, including the Croix de Guerre and the Rosette of the Resistance. She was the first American woman to receive such high French military honors, yet despite her heroism, her contributions were often overshadowed by her stage persona, leading many to underestimate the depth of her involvement in espionage activities. After the war, Baker continued to break barriers, becoming a vocal advocate for civil rights and racial equality. She returned to the United States in the 1950s using her platform to speak against segregation and discrimination. Yet, the scars of her wartime experiences never fully healed. She was a woman divided, caught between the allure of the stage and the harsh realities of a world torn apart by conflict. Josephine Baker was not the only one using her international fame for espionage. Stay tuned for our next chapter, where we delve into the life of a Hollywood star whose espionage activities were so secret they were only revealed decades later. Sterling Hayden, the reluctant patriot. Born Sterling Relia Walter in Montclair, New Jersey in 1916, was a man of many faces. A sailor, a Marine, a Hollywood actor, and a writer. Hayden lived a life that read like a novel. But one of the most intriguing chapters of his life was his involvement in espionage during World War II and the Cold War, a chapter that remained hidden for decades. Before he became a Hollywood star, Hayden was a sailor. His love for the sea led him to join the Marine Corps, where he served with distinction. But it was his rugged good looks and towering presence that caught the eye of Hollywood scouts. Soon he was starring in films like Asphalt Jungle and Dr. Strangelove and becoming a household name. Yet, despite his success, Hayden was a man plagued by inner demons, a man searching for a purpose beyond the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. That purpose came in the form of a secret mission orchestrated by the Office of Strategic Services. Hayden was recruited for Operation Underworld, a clandestine effort to gather intelligence on Axis powers. His maritime skills made him an ideal candidate for the mission, which involved infiltrating enemy lines to collect information on naval movements and submarine activities. Hayden underwent rigorous training, learning the arts of sabotage, cryptography, and hand-to-hand combat. He was given a new identity, complete with a fabricated backstory and false documents. His mission took him to the treacherous waters of the Mediterranean, where he operated undercover as a fisherman. The intelligence he gathered was invaluable. aiding in the planning of Operation Torch, the Allied invasion of North Africa. But Hayden's involvement in espionage didn't end with World War II. During the Cold War, he was once again called upon to serve his country, this time as a CIA operative. His mission was to infiltrate communist circles in Eastern Europe, gathering intelligence on Soviet activities. The details of these missions remain classified, but what is known is that Hayden's work had a significant impact on U.S. foreign policy during a critical period in history. Yet, despite his contributions, Hayden was a reluctant patriot. He was disillusioned by the bureaucracy and the moral ambiguities of espionage, leading him to question the very ideals he had fought for. In his later years, he turned to writing, penning an autobiography that touched upon his experiences but left much unsaid. He passed away in 1986, taking many of his secrets to the grave. Up next, a star whose espionage activities were so secret they were only revealed decades later, involving not just espionage but also a tale of love and betrayal. Noel Coward, the master of disguise. Born in 1899 in Teddington, England, was a man of many talents. A playwright, composer, director, actor, and singer, Coward was a Renaissance man in the truest sense. His wit and charm made him a darling of London's West End and Broadway, but it was his work behind the scenes in the murky world of espionage that adds an unexpected twist to his storied life. Coward's foray into the world of espionage began at the onset of World War II. His close friendship with Winston Churchill provided him an entry into the British Secret Service. Churchill, recognizing Coward's unique skill set, enlisted him in the Political Warfare Executive, a secret organization aimed at spreading propaganda and gathering intelligence. Given his extensive travels and international connections, Coward was the perfect candidate for covert operations. He was trained in the arts of deception, code-breaking, and psychological manipulation. Armed with these skills and his natural charisma, Coward embarked on a series of missions that took him from the salons of Paris to the political hotbeds of Africa and the Middle East. One of his most daring missions involved infiltrating the Vichy government in France. Posing as a neutral journalist, Coward gained access to high-ranking officials, gathering intelligence on troop movements and political alliances. His reports were instrumental in shaping British strategy in the North African campaign, particularly the Battle of El Alamein, a turning point in the war. But Coward's espionage activities were not without personal cost. His relationship with longtime partner Graham Payne came under scrutiny, leading to rumors and innuendos. The British government, wary of the potential scandal, sidelined Coward, relegating him to less risky propaganda work. Yet, despite these setbacks, Coward continued to serve his country in any way he could, even if it meant sacrificing his personal happiness. After the war, Coward returned to the stage, but the experiences of his espionage days left an indelible mark on him. His later works, such as The Vortex and Private Lives, reflected a darker, more introspective tone, as if mirroring the complexities and moral ambiguities of the world he had navigated as a spy. Our next star's story involves not just espionage, but also a tale of love and betrayal. A woman whose beauty and intellect made her a perfect spy, yet whose activities remained a well-guarded family secret until her final days. Hedy Lamarr, the inventive spy. Born Hedwig Eva Maria Kiesler in 1914 in Vienna, Austria, Hedy Lamarr was a woman ahead of her time. Known for her stunning beauty and her roles in films like Algiers and Samson and Delilah, Lamarr was a Hollywood icon. But what many don't know is that she was also a brilliant inventor and a spy whose contributions significantly impacted the course of World War II. Lamarr's journey into the world of espionage began after her escape from an oppressive marriage to Fritz Mandl, a wealthy Austrian arms dealer with ties to fascist regimes. Fleeing to the United States, she caught the eye of MGM Studios and quickly rose to stardom. But as World War II raged on, Lamarr felt compelled to contribute to the war effort in a meaningful way. Her opportunity came when she met George Antheil, an avant-garde composer and former weapons inspector. Together, they developed a frequency-hopping technology designed to prevent the jamming of radio-controlled torpedoes. This invention was years ahead of its time and was the precursor to modern-day Wi-Fi and Bluetooth technologies. But Lamarr didn't stop there. Using her connections in the entertainment industry and her frequent trips to Europe, she gathered intelligence on Axis powers. Her status as a Hollywood star gave her access to diplomatic parties and military gatherings where she would subtly extract information from unsuspecting officials. This intelligence was passed on to the Allies, providing valuable insights into enemy strategies and technologies. Despite her contributions, Lamarr's efforts went largely unrecognized during her lifetime. The U.S. Navy was skeptical of her invention, and it wasn't until the 1960s that her frequency-hopping technology was implemented. Moreover, her espionage activities were so clandestine that they remained a well-guarded secret even to her family. In her later years, Lamarr became a recluse, shunning the public eye and living in relative obscurity. She passed away in 2000, but it wasn't until after her death that her contributions to science and espionage were fully acknowledged. She was posthumously inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame, a fitting tribute to a woman whose beauty was matched only by her brilliance. Think this is shocking? Our next star's involvement in espionage was a well-guarded family secret, so deeply buried that it took decades to come to light. John Wayne, the American icon, born Marian Robert Morrison in 1907 in Winterset, Iowa, John Wayne was the epitome of American masculinity. With his towering frame, rugged good looks, and a voice that commanded attention, Wayne became a symbol of American values and ideals. Known for his roles in classic films like Stagecoach, The Searchers, and True Grit, he was a Hollywood legend. But behind the scenes, Wayne led a life that was far more complex and controversial, including allegations of involvement in espionage activities during the Cold War. Wayne's connection to the world of espionage began in the early 1950s, a period marked by heightened tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union. As a staunch anti-communist, Wayne was a vocal supporter of the House Un-American Activities Committee, a congressional group tasked with investigating alleged disloyalty and subversive activities. His political stance caught the attention of the FBI, who saw in him a potential asset for gathering intelligence. Operating under the codename Duke, a nod to his famous nickname, Wayne was tasked with infiltrating Hollywood circles suspected of communist sympathies. His mission was to gather information on actors, directors, and producers who were believed to be aiding Soviet propaganda efforts. Given his status in the industry, Wayne had access to private gatherings and confidential information, making him an effective undercover operative. However, Wayne's involvement in espionage was fraught with moral dilemmas. While he was committed to fighting communism, he struggled with the ethical implications of spying on his colleagues, many of whom were close friends. This internal conflict took a toll on his personal life, leading to strained relationships and a growing sense of isolation. Despite these challenges, Wayne continued his covert activities until the late 1950s. The intelligence he gathered was instrumental in several high-profile investigations, although the full extent of his contributions remains classified. After retiring from espionage, Wayne focused on his acting career, but the experiences of his secret life left an indelible mark on him, influencing his political views and artistic choices for the rest of his life. But not all stories have a heroic ending. The next star's espionage activities led to a tragic downfall, a tale that serves as a cautionary reminder of the risks involved in the shadowy world of espionage. Charlie Chaplin, the comedic informant, born Charles Spencer Chaplin in 1889 in London, England, Charlie Chaplin was a man who needed no introduction. His iconic character, the Tramp, became a global phenomenon, making Chaplin one of the most famous figures in the history of cinema. Known for his comedic genius in films like The Kid, City Lights, and Modern Times, Chaplin was a master of silent film. But what many don't know is that his life off-screen was filled with political intrigue, including allegations of espionage during the Cold War era. Chaplin's political leanings were always a subject of debate. While he openly criticized fascism and promoted social justice, his views were often interpreted as sympathetic to communism, especially during the McCarthy era. This made him a person of interest for the FBI, who kept a close eye on his activities both in the United States and abroad. In a twist of irony, Chaplin was approached by British intelligence agencies to serve as an informant. Given his international fame and access to high-profile individuals, he was seen as a valuable asset for gathering information on communist activities in Europe. Operating under the codename Limelight, a reference to one of his films, Chaplin was tasked with attending social events and diplomatic functions to collect intelligence. One of his most daring missions involved a trip to the Soviet Union, where he was invited to meet Joseph Stalin. Posing as a goodwill ambassador for the arts, Chaplin used the opportunity to gather information on Soviet military capabilities and political strategies. The intelligence he collected was passed on to British and American agencies, providing valuable insights into the inner workings of the Kremlin. However, Chaplin's involvement in espionage came at a high personal cost. His political activities made him a target for the House Un-American Activities Committee, leading to his eventual exile from the United States. Despite the risks, Chaplin continued his covert operations, even as he faced public scrutiny and personal hardships. Our final star's story is perhaps the most controversial of them all, a woman whose life was shrouded in mystery and whose involvement in espionage activities remains a subject of intense debate to this day. Don't go anywhere. Greta Garbo, the mysterious operative. Born Greta Lovisa Gustafsson in 1905 in Stockholm, Sweden, Greta Garbo was the epitome of enigmatic allure. With her smoldering eyes and aloof demeanor, she captivated audiences in films like Anna Karenina, Grand Hotel, and Camille. But behind that inscrutable facade lay a woman of many layers, including allegations of involvement in espionage during World War II. Garbo's journey into the world of espionage is as mysterious as the woman herself. During the war, she took a hiatus from acting and disappeared from the public eye. Rumors swirled about her whereabouts, but it wasn't until years later that the truth began to emerge. According to declassified documents, Garbo was recruited by British intelligence to serve as a spy, operating under the codename the Swedish Sphinx. Her mission was to infiltrate Nazi social circles and gather information on German military plans. Given her Swedish nationality and her neutral stance, Garbo was able to move freely across Europe, attending parties and social events frequented by high-ranking Nazi officials. Her beauty and charm made her a welcome guest, allowing her to extract valuable intelligence without arousing suspicion. One of her most daring exploits involved a secret meeting with Heinrich Himmler, the Reichsfuhrer of the SS. Posing as a sympathizer to the Nazi cause, Garbo gained his trust and acquired critical information on the V-2 rocket program, which she promptly relayed to British intelligence. This intelligence was instrumental in shaping Allied strategies, potentially saving countless lives. Despite the risks and the moral complexities of her role, Garbo carried out her duties with utmost secrecy. Even her closest friends and family were unaware of her clandestine activities, making her one of the most effective spies of her time. After the war, Garbo returned to her reclusive life, never speaking publicly about her espionage activities. She passed away in 1990, taking her secrets to the grave, leaving us to ponder the depths of her enigmatic life. From the glitz and glamour of Hollywood to the shadowy corridors of international espionage, the lives of these stars were far more complex than what met the eye. Their stories serve as a testament to the intricate tapestry of history where fame, politics, and secrecy intertwine in unexpected ways. If you enjoyed this documentary, check out the next video in this series.